can't eat. That's okay. No, that's what I bought it for.
Well, thank you. That's literally sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Peanut butter stuff, crackers and stuff. You know.
It's really, when I cook something, I can't not eat it. Melvin cooks with the cookies and doesn't eat it.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to tonight's meeting, all those that are present here and all those who are joining us online. Can you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Elizabeth, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Harker,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cooper,
Here.
Commissioner Gillikin,
Here.
Commissioner LaPiccolo,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver, Commissioner Spiegler.
Here. Thank you. Before I ask for an approval for the agenda, I'd like to make a few changes. I would like to take from new business, number 2, the wastewater allocation for 2303 Highway 70 Beaufort, and make that under number 3, under volunteer annexation. Those two things may require the same attention depending upon the outcome of the decision. And also would like to remove under presentation for Beowulf, number 2, full fuel farm installation. With those changes to the agenda, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to items of consent. We've got the minute meetings for May 12th and May 15th and the 21st. We have the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources, General Records and Program Records schedule. We'll be aligning with their schedule, retention. Number 3, we've got Capital Project Budget Amendment number 1 for a professional park stormwater project. This amendment will appropriate $540,000 in general funds, and we're receiving that from Carteret County. I want to thank you for that. And then we have the 4th of July parade, something we're all looking forward to. The Business Association will be putting that on. That parade will go on Friday, July the 4th at 11 a.m. downtown Beaufort. And can I get a motion to approve the items of consent?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the public hearing section. We have actually 2 items under public hearing. I just wanted to remind those who are interested in making any comments during the public hearing is that you should own property or live within the town of Beaufort, so that it goes for both items. Is that correct? You want to go ahead and expand on that?
Just for the annexation, Mayor.
Just for the annexation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, and Matt will take that over.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. For those that were present during the month of May, we presented a balanced budget to the town council here and to the residents, business owners, and guests of the town of Beaufort at a revenue-neutral tax rate of 28.84 cents. The generalized budget is just shy of $20 million with a little over 14, almost close to $15 million in general fund and $5 million in utilities. We walked through an entire budget draft presentation, so we'd like to highlight that here tonight. We won't go through it in its granular detail, but again, a revenue-neutral tax rate is being proposed at 28.84 cents, which is down from the previous tax rate of 46 cents. Pardon me?
I forgot to ask for a motion to open public hearing. I can do it afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have some primary budget and capital goals which are identified here. One of the clear directives from our town council was to develop a new enterprise fund, which we've established and presented as Enterprise Fund 14. That would be to help increase the opportunities and share the transparencies of the income stream that would be a result of the Beaufort waterfront and marina. So that has been included in the budget. There's material items, rolling apparatuses for emergency response purposes and general daily activities. But one of the largest items is to provide for 6 full-time firefighters in our budget with the assistance of the county serving that fire district. And this would allow for 24-hour coverage of an additional personnel team member at both Fire Stations 1 and Fire Stations 2. Again, here's the generalized numbers, 19.8 million, and you'll see this is all balanced at a tax rate of 28.84 cents. The average tax bill, we wanted to show that the increase of the average town value would now be just at a little bit more than $573,598. The average tax bill would then come in at $1,654, or approximately $138 per month, and we're trying to maintain a revenue neutral rate. But again, we'd like to point out, if your property has increased greater than the median, you may see an increase. If your property did not, you may actually see a decrease in your taxes. And the services, again, provided would be all those that are listed in our addendum there. So again, what we wanted to talk about was the stability of our finances, where at the end of our last fiscal audit, we had $7.8 million in fund balance. We had appropriated in this budget cycle transactions equal to $1.6 million. And so when we have our internal policy of maintaining a 20% fund balance rate, that would require at least $2.8 million. And we're proposing at the end of June 30th, we'd be right around 3.379,810 is our best estimate. So the next steps would be, we had our workshop meeting, and now we're here tonight to open that public hearing. We'll answer any questions or allow people to speak, and then I can answer any questions for the council if they do have any. But again, our resulting proposal is tonight a revenue neutral, balanced tax rate at 28.84 cents, and this would help us deliver all the essential services and provide the emergency responses needed for the town of Beaufort to be successful from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate that. Before I ask for a motion to open the floor for public hearing, do the commissioners have any questions for the town manager? Commissioner Lopiccolo?
No question.
Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Commissioner Oliver? Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions.
All right. Can I get a motion to open the floor for public hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you. So this gives an opportunity for anyone in the public who wishes to make a comment about our upcoming budget. Do we have anybody who wishes to come up and make a comment about the budget? I don't think anybody's going to complain about revenue neutral, are we? Okay, very good. All right, seeing that there is none, can I get a motion to close the floor of the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, when it comes down to the fiscal budget 2026, what is the pleasure of the board?
Make a move that we approve the budget for the fiscal year 2025 through June of 2026.
Okay. We've got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Well, very good. Now we're going to move on to the next item under public hearing. That's the voluntary annexation of 2303 Highway 70 Beaufort. And can I get a motion to open the floor for public hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. So do we have someone from the town staff that's going to present this first, or? Michelle?
Mayor, I'll take it.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, so this is the final stage of the annexation process. I presented the certificate of sufficiency at the last meeting, and now we're just asking that the public hearing be conducted on the question of annexation. The advertisements have been in the paper for this, and I'll remind the general public again that you must reside or own property in the town of Beaufort to be able to speak during the public hearing. The applicant is here, and they're ready to present.
Okay. Well, we have the applicant that is here in the building, and if you would like to bring your representative up to speak about the project, you're more than welcome to join us.
Thank you, Mayor, Town Council. We'll turn this so you can see it, and we'll turn it so the public can see it. I'm Chris Chadwick. I'm the chairman of the Carteret County Board of Commissioners. It's an honor and a privilege to serve as chairman, and it's an honor and a privilege to serve part of Beaufort. That's part of my district. I'm joined by Commissioner Moore, who represents Beaufort, Mill Creek, and Harlow, and part of Morehead City, and Sheriff Asa Buck, and our county manager and county attorney, Sharon Griffin. What we're proposing to do on this 42-acre tract of land is build a public safety complex and also have some additional services like the Register of Deeds, County Tax Office, 911 Center, our Emergency Operations Center, Fire Marshal, it did say Sheriff's Office, and Detention Center in the rear. So this would be the county hadn't built any new buildings since probably the early 80s. We are cramped for space, much needed. Quite frankly, our county employees deserve this, and the citizens of Carteret County deserve it. So it would be a one-stop shop, except for the court functions that would remain here in downtown Beaufort, and that would free up a tremendous amount of parking. As you all know, parking is such a headache around the courthouse, so that would free up a lot of parking. We are mandated to provide space for the clerk of court, probations, and many other DSS services. So those functions would remain here at the courthouse and properties around the courthouse. So this is a good step forward, a good plan, well thought out. We got $5 million from the state. We've spent $2 million on the property, and we are engaging an architect to spend the final $3 million of that to do site work, stormwater retention ponds, on all the necessary things that come with building a nice facility with plenty of parking so the citizens can pull right up to the front door, go in, conduct their business, whether it be with the sheriff or the county manager's office and related staff. So that's how we got here, and we're glad to answer any questions. You mind if I turn this to?
Please.
Two-story brick facility, very similar to what they have in Johnston County. Johnston County is the fastest growing county in the state right now. Very nice, very good curb appeal. We're right here east of Beaufort where the 4-lane turns back into 2. So when people ride by and see that, I think it's something to be very proud of, not only for the county to be proud of, but for the town to be proud of. Be able to pull up to the front door, or you can pull up to the back door. And the other
You want to put it on this one?
That's the detention center. That's not as good as pictures as we would like to have had, but it's basically the same brick building, story and a half. You can see a small black chain link fence there. We can do a brick fence, and we can do an enclosed area of cinder block where you really would never even see a fence. But that would be in the rear of the property. Citizens would never really even see that until they pulled in behind the building. And, that facility would house up to 300 folks. And magistrate's office, I'm sure would probably be there, wouldn't it, Sheriff? Yes. Magistrate's office, sheriff's facility. That's basically it. Sheriff, you got anything you'd like to add?
Okay.
Anybody has any questions?
Okay.
I would just add to it that we are early in the process right now. Obviously, the property was purchased more than a year ago, and what we're doing at this time, assuming that tonight this is passed, we will be voting at our meeting next week on bringing in Mosley as our architect and to do site planning. Our goal here is to keep the county government offices, the primary county government offices and detention facility here in Beaufort as the county seat. We also think this would be more convenient even for the Beaufort police to have the jail here and not to have it somewhere else. It is our hope that you would annex us and help us with the sewer so that we don't have to consider doing a package plant out there, which could happen. And we could go that route, but we would rather work cooperatively with Beaufort and figure out a way to do this for the least amount of taxpayer expense. And certainly, we're here to answer any questions. This probably should have been done 20 years ago, and it's been discussed over and over and over again. And we really have overcrowding now at the jail. We want to make sure that our law enforcement is supported and keeps this the safe, wonderful place to live that it already is. Please let us know if we can answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation and welcome. We're going to start with Commissioner Lopiccolo if he has any questions for our guest.
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
I do. Sure. It's going to be, in terms of the detention center, all one story?
The building in the detention center, it's actually 2 levels. There's a main floor and then a mezzanine.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how tall the building is, but it's a one-level facility.
Oh, one
Yes,
level
sir.
facility. Okay. That's all I
Not,
have.
not like the current building where the jail was on top of the sheriff's office.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
I would say, I would estimate it probably 20 feet tall, somewhere along there. 25.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
I have no questions.
Thank you. And Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Chadwick, Sheriff Buck, Sharon Griffin. Thank you very much. Now, I get an opportunity now to open up the floor to the public who may want to come and make a comment. So I'm going to start with the second row. Anybody in the second row? Anybody in the third row? Please, would you like to come up to the mic, please? And state your address, please. And your name.
My name is Jeff Lick. I live at 412 Taylorwood Drive in the Beaufort Club golf course. I just have a question or a concern really of the noise level, especially after hours. Is that possible to respond to that?
Yes, we can get the applicant to address that.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Chadwick?
Yeah, thank you. Our county staff, we work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. The sheriff, he runs a 24-hour operation. He can speak to the detention center and sheriff's office. There's deputies coming and going all hours of the night, but they would be shielded. You know, we have about 20 acres of woods between us and the Beaufort Club. So, and the property is lower back there, so we don't anticipate using that. It should remain as a buffer. So I think noise would be almost none. Well, like the chairman said, I mean, obviously my operation runs 24 hours a day, and with the current jail facility is just right down the road, and at night there's hardly any noise out there. I mean, there's no, the only people that are coming and going that are law enforcement officers that are bringing people to the jail, and I certainly wouldn't anticipate anything being any different than it currently is. I think if anybody were to ride up there in the jail, you can come park right there in the parking lot. You probably won't hear anything except the crickets chirping.
Not that you want 3 people to answer every question, but I just wanted to add, I think it's a fair question because we don't know exactly where on the land the facility's going to go right now. And we will know more of that after we get the architect in and we do the site plan. And I've already spoken with Mr. Zapp and with Mayor Harker. We are more than happy to come back once we have some renderings, some actual renderings from the architect. They've done the site plan, and we've done some of the original survey work and permitting work that will be necessary to make sure that we've got flood control and we're not getting into wetlands and all that kind of thing. We do anticipate there will be a really nice buffer between where this building is and where you live, but there will be more information coming that will be a lot more solid than us just putting a picture up of what we want. So.
Thank you for that clarity. And then we have the fourth row, my Maria.
Actually, my question was answered
Okay.
regarding orientation of the buildings, whether they were going to be on the right side of the pie or the left side of the pie.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in that fourth row? I'm going to move on to the fifth row. And then the very, very back row. You have your hand raised. Please come up to the mic, state your name and your address.
Thank you. My name's John Tullis. I'm at 125 Windswept Lane in Beaufort Club. New resident since January. Question about ambient lighting. One of the attractive things about being in there is the low level of ambient lighting as well. And then was there, and may not be the time to ask that, but was other properties considered, and what led to this particular tract that you decided? And then lastly is kind of the emphasis, when you have the site plan, will there be a public comment time for input around that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Don't go nowhere, I might need you to repeat some of them questions. Well, the first question is about the lighting. We're going to use dark sky compliant lighting. The National Seashore recommends that. A lot of the properties, you know, people come here and stargaze and like to see skies, and nobody wants to see a big light lighting up. So the light will be minimal. It'll shine down, not shine all around. So that's will be dark sky compliant light. So that should make everybody happy. Number two was, is there a chance to look at the design and?
Yes, the site plan to have any public comment regarding that.
I don't know if.
Or do you have feedback on the front end?
Yeah, we would welcome you to come to the commissioners meeting if we're approved tonight. See these buildings here, they're, you know, all commercial grade buildings, built like the hospital, built like the community college. So those things, obviously steel, brick, mortar, but we want it to be aesthetically pleasing as well and fit in. And that building will face Highway 70.
Okay.
So that'll be much further away from the Beaufort Club. Okay. And the third question was about the property.
Yes, sir.
We looked at property further out on 101, near Parker Boats, a little bit too far to transport back and forth to the courthouse, a little bit lower, more flood prone. We've looked at property in Newport. We've looked at property in Morehead City, in the edge of Morehead. We looked at one time about possibly dealing with the Kmart, old Kmart facility, and having offices there. We were attracted to this property because we're about 1 minute from Turner Street. It has water and sewer available, and it was a much larger piece of property, so we were able to have more buffers. So our neighbors on, was that Cedar Avenue? You know, we can respect our neighbors on Cedar Avenue. We can respect the folks at the golf course and still have a first-class government facility there right on the main drag. We've got a 4-lane highway. We can shoot down 101 if we have to. We're here at downtown Beaufort. In the event of hurricanes, we hope to have the EOC there. Generator, full power up on the second story. This building here would be a 2-story building, and that's what would be on the road. So you virtually wouldn't even see the building in the back. So emergency operations there, our fire marshal, Stephen Ray, and his folks, everybody right there were the, you know, Beaufort is the county seat. There was some folks that wanted to move it to Morehead City. We discouraged that. Beaufort is the county seat. We want to remain the county seat. So we were able to talk through that. So that's how we felt this property was the best.
May I have a follow-up question?
Sure.
Regarding the inmate population, is this minimal security or just kind of transitional, or how, you know, what should residents expect as far as population within that facility?
Well, it would be the same inmate population. I mean, the types of prisoners that we currently, I mean, obviously it'll be increased population beyond what we have now because our current facility is rated for 116 beds. I'm generally running anywhere from 140 to 150 physically in the building, and I have 70 people out on electronic monitoring who are wearing ankle bracelets in our pretrial release program. But I mean, we don't control the type of people who come to our jail. It depends on what criminal offenses they violate. We have very few misdemeanors in our jail because our court system works through getting those folks out, and people with those lower level crimes don't need to be sitting in your county jail at your expense if they're not charged with serious offenses. So most of the folks that are in our jail are people who are charged with higher level crimes, drug dealers, sexual related crimes. I don't want to say anything. We have some murders every now and again that we have to investigate and bring criminal charges. But all those folks are pretrial inmates, and they are held until their cases are adjudicated. The majority of those people are returned back into the community, most of the time on probation, where someone spends an amount of time in jail. They may get credit for time served and be released back into the community. But that's when people talk about jails and prisons and people who get incarcerated, unless you're talking about someone who commits a serious murder or those types of things, almost everybody who goes to a jail is going back into the community at some point in time, either way. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will say that I have gone past the facility in Johnson County.
Yes.
I happened within the last 3 or 4 weeks. I did take notice of how well they did their properties.
Yes, and we went on a tour of a number of different facilities, and Johnson County was our last stop. And the same architect that we've engaged is the architect that built these buildings, and the facility is first class. It's as far as the detention center goes, it's the newest detention center that's been built in the state of North Carolina, the one in Johnson County, and with a few tweaks here and there, we would like to pretty much model our building exactly after that building. It's a good sized facility. It's will be a much better jail facility than we currently have. I think it'll be a more secure building than we currently occupy, certainly with newer technologies and things like that, and better security apparatus and things like that than we currently have. And so I think Sharon, I think you said this should have been done about 20 years ago. I've been sheriff for 18 years, and since about 2009, I've been begging to get this done. And so I think this is something like the chairman said. We get this public safety facility built, sheriff's office and the other offices, and this nice state-of-the-art detention center. I think it'll be a positive for the entire county and certainly the town. Thank you.
Now, oh, yes, ma'am. You want to come up to the mic? And state your name and address, please.
I'm Christine Dolan. I live at 411, that's my son's address, 411 Taylorwood. I have a question. The developers of Beaufort Club met with the homeowners a couple of weeks ago and told us we're going to get a second exit. Right now, we have only one way to leave Beaufort Club, and it floods. They said they were going to punch through windswept onto Cedar.
I'm sorry, but this does not actually have to deal with the annexation, correct? Are you talking
No,
about a different topic?
it has to do with Cedar.
Okay, but we're talking about the annexation of a property, so you're talking about a different option. What I want you to do is to keep up with that thought, and when it comes down to public hearing, during the public hearing section, I want you to come back up and ask your question.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Public comment. Yes. So this is a public hearing. All right. Change your mind, Maria. Okay.
Hi, I'm Maria Davis. I live at 111 Snapdragon Circle at the Beaufort Club. My question is, will it also entail when this starts to happen, because no progress happens, because it needs to, what impact will it have on the traffic on 70 right now? And will that be a big part of the consideration when you go to the architectural and the actual building of this property?
I think that's a good question. The DOT, we will reach out to the DOT folks, and they will let us know whether so turning lane required or anything of that nature, and that decision will be made by the DOT. But as far as any increased traffic, the traffic's already coming up and down 70 every day. The people are coming from down east to work at the courthouse. Some come from Moorhead, so that would be a little increase. Folks coming from the western, but I don't foresee a whole lot of additional traffic. But the DOT would determine whether it needs a turning lane or not. And I think, actually, I think there's one already stubbed out real close by there.
All right, so I left off at the back row. Any further public comments about the annexation? Is there anybody in the overflow room, Chief? No? Okay. All right, seeing that there's nobody in the overflow room, everybody's had an opportunity to participate in this public hearing. Seeing that there's no further comments, can I get a motion to close the floor to public hearing?
So move.
Got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, when it comes to the annexation of 2303 Highway 70 Beaufort, the board can initiate a discussion, or what is the pleasure?
I make a motion that we go ahead and move in terms of the annexation of 2303 Highway 70 Beaufort. Or
There's
do
a-
we need more?
That's to adopt the annexation
Adopt.
ordinance, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right. So we've got a motion on the floor to adopt the annexation. Any further questions?
I just want to make a comment to the public about this, that as we move forward on this, we'll have a chance, when the preliminary plat is delivered to the town based on the drawings and renderings, the public will have the opportunity to meet with the planning board and to discuss that, and to make any, so they can make any recommendations they feel necessary, and that then comes to the board. So this is just an initial point here for us to go ahead and approve this process of annexation. I just want to make sure that the public was clear on that.
Thank you, Commissioner LaPiccolo, for that clarification. So we have a motion on the floor, looking for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed have the same right. All righty. Now we're just going to move on to the water allocation request for 2303 Highway 70 Beaufort. And we've got Sam Bell, our town engineer, who's going to speak about that.
Good evening, Board and Mayor. We have received the wastewater allocation application for the project. As just mentioned, you've heard in good detail about what the plan is for the project. And so what I present to you here is the allocation request. So currently, as of the annexation, would be, I guess, considered in town limits, which would, and it's close to an existing force main line. The question I actually have for the applicant would be, so we received the allocation application request, and it only includes the jail site, doesn't include the administration building. My question to them would be, would you like to add in, I don't see the engineer here, but would you like to add the allocation for the administration building now while we have the chance? Do you know roughly how many employees that would be?
This is kind of unusual.
250 people are already using Beaufort water and Beaufort sewer. They're just moving from one location to the other within the town, so it's kind of a wash
Okay.
on that. So that, there's some net gain, but very little, because it's just moving some folks over.
Okay. Okay. I know typically in the past, we've granted credit for sewer allocation when it's been used for the same site, same location. When it moves locations, I would guess that we would need to include the full amount as a for the requested allocation, just so we have the correct numbers. So if it's the desire to of the applicant to run with the current numbers, then I'm happy to do that.
So Sam, if I'm not mistaken, the assistant town manager and I believe that allocation request of 24,000 gallons per day encompasses all your internal needs, both as proposed and verbalized. And I think that the public safety complex may not have clerically identified, but we are under the impression that encompasses all the current staff members that would be transferred from Site A to Site B. So we are currently comfortable at 24,000 GPD. In the event that number is incorrect, we'd come back to the board, but we're under that impression.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thanks. So with that said, the requested allocation stands at 24,000 gallons per day, which represents roughly 1.6% of our total capacity. Current capacity stands at 76.2%, and if approved, would raise our capacity to roughly 77.8%. At the 80%, once we reach 80% capacity, it will be required by the state to have a plan for expansion. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the proposed allocation or the town's sewer service.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Commissioner LoPiccolo?
I had reached out prior to this to Sam, so I have no questions here. I will answer my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions for Sam, but I do have a comment, and I've particularly been interested in our sewer capacity as a town and how tight we are with the realization that we have a lot of I&I issues and that some of that capacity might be reclaimed after our very large USDA project. But I do support this county annexation and this county sewer allotment because we are reclaiming some from the in-town facility. I just want to be clear that y'all have heard me talk about this a lot with good plan development. If this were a community of 1,000 houses, I might have a different opinion because we really haven't done our strategic growth plan. But I think for this facility in particular, I don't have any questions or concerns about this sewer allocation.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
Sam, did you say we're gonna be going up 1% on this?
This would represent about 1.6% of our total capacity, if approved.
But if we're just moving apple to apple, why is it gonna be a 1% increase?
So this would be on top of the current capacity that they're using. So they did not include the administration building because, like they said, it's being moved from one place to the other. I have in here 300 inmate beds, 18 24/7 employees, 6 jail admin, 2 medical staff, and 26 deputies. So I do not see the admin personnel in here. So I'm assuming that would be because it's being moved from one place to the other.
I think the question is, where's the delta? The delta, sir, comes between the 116 beds plus or minus to the 300 beds. Is that correct, Sheriff? There's an increase in beds, which requires an increase in allocation. Does that make sense,
That makes
Commissioner?
sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
I'm sorry, but you lost me on that one. And the list that they came up with for 24,000 gallons, it includes 300 inmates. They have 116 now. So why wouldn't that number right there be the delta?
If you have 116 beds, I think that.
They have 116.
Right.
here.
Sam was coming up with the difference, and I believe that's the answer, but if you found something else that I'm misreading.
I would just ask you to check the math. 'Cause
Roger
I'm
that.
not sure he's given credit here. I'm not sure I don't see the credit in this calculation for the 116 they have here. That's just a technical question.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So that could be potentially less. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
I don't have any questions, Sam. I just want to say thank you. And also just to note, I think this is a good step forward as our town and county continues to grow, as we're upgrading our facility. I think that is good, this facility, but in general, I mean, we've talked about how we're going to need more police, more fire, more facilities. So I think this is a good step in the growth of our community. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Any further questions for Sam? Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Okay. Good report.
Thanks.
All righty. Unless there's any further deliberation that the board would like to make, what is the pleasure of the board considering the allocation of 24,000 GDP or GPD of the proposed county jail, sheriff's office, and public safety complex?
I move to approve it, subject to the review of the math by the manager.
Okay. We've got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you. Commissioner Chadwick, appreciate you coming out here to see us. Commissioner Moore, it's always been a pleasure. Ms. Griffin, Always a pleasure. Sheriff, I hope to see you only publicly, not, no other place at all. But thank you for coming out. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
And we have
Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you.
I said Commissioner.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
I'm give you like bucket.
You got the hearing too?
Yeah, they had to speak in this here.
Okay. So now we are moving on to a presentation from the Beaufort Waterfront Operations and Finance Committee. Our next steps, Marina Management Company. I'm going to turn this over to the chair of the committee, Sarah Spiegler, and then she can pull in the co-chair, Commissioner Gilligan, whenever ready. Go ahead and
Yes.
introduce Barry.
Thank you, Mayor Harker. We're going to have a presentation for you all tonight. I just wanted to give the public a little bit of background before we start our presentation. I am Sarah Spiegler. I'm the chair of the Beaufort Waterfront Operations and Finance Committee. I want to remind everybody who's watching online or participating tonight in person that last fall, we had a Beaufort Waterfront Plan recommendations, a set of recommendations that was made by the Waterfront Committee, or as we call the BWOF Committee, and it was approved by this Board of Commissioners last October. And in those Waterfront Plan recommendations, the first phase of those recommendations were to establish the Beaufort Town Docks as its own fund, as an enterprise fund. And that was done actually today when we approved the budget. We did create a fund dedicated to the town docks. And the recommendations also stated that the town should take control of the docks and the fueling operations to maximize revenue sources by January 1 of 2026. And as part of that effort, we would employ a marina management firm that is capable to begin managing those dock operations effective January 1st, 2026. So to implement that, and you're going to hear more about that, we did issue an RFP last year in December, and it did close February 28th of this year. And so we had a review committee appointed by Mayor Harker, and that committee did present at our BWOF committee last week, and they did make a recommendation, and that is Barry Slade is one of the members of both the Marina Management Review Committee and the BWOF Committee, and he is here to tell you about the recommendation from the BWOF Committee. So before I turn it over to Barry, Commissioner Gillikin, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add except for that I'm really excited for the commissioners and the public to see this presentation, and very excited about the direction we're going in. So thanks, Barry.
So I'll introduce Barry Slade. He is one of our 10 amazingly dedicated BWOF volunteer citizens.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for that context. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, town staff, fellow BWOF members. We got a lot of acronyms going around with these committees, and of course, citizens of Beaufort. Sarah has outlined the reason for this presentation. I will say the committee has been very busy the last 4 months, and I'm here to update you on the process that we took on to get where we are today, and ultimately to make this recommendation to the board. As Sarah mentioned, the town did submit let's see, get this one going here. All right. There we go. Let's go back one. Let's go up one. There we go. Well, yeah, okay, thank you. So the town did issue an RFP. We received 4 very capable candidates from diverse backgrounds. One of them was local, Beaufort Town Yacht Center LLC, and they put forth some very strong qualifications in many areas. The selection committee had a heart to strongly consider any local candidate. We liken the process to a company evaluating an internal candidate for a job opening. There's often some real goodness in that consideration. But we also wanted to be mindful that we had to do the absolute best thing for the town of Beaufort. Before I proceed, I'd like to recognize those who served on the Marina Management Review Committee. It's a mix of citizens, staff, commissioners, and Mayor Harker. It's been a busy few months, as I mentioned, and everyone should be proud of the work that this group has accomplished. They were present for RFP reviews, finalist interviews, and each ultimately had a say-so in where we landed today. So thank you all for everything you did to contribute, and thank you for your direction and guidance, Sarah. All right, so in order to make sure we serve the interests of our citizens, we needed an objective and robust process to follow and to guide us. So we extracted some of the core components from the RFP that we felt the operator must possess to best serve the town of Beaufort. It's worth noting that numbers 9 and 10 were intentionally omitted from the RFP for the following reasons. First, we didn't want to guide or predispose the responses as they related to these criteria. And secondly, we were aware that there's a generally accepted range in the industry around these two criteria, and we wanted to see if our respondents would acknowledge this, and our finalists did. We then evaluated all 4 applicants on each of these criteria based on their RFP responses, the committee's research, and ultimately the due diligence that the committee did. After completing this exercise, 2 candidates ranked much higher than the others and emerged as our finalists. The 2 finalists are the Latitude Marinas and F3 Marina. After arriving at the 2 finalists, we conducted very informative and I will say very enjoyable interviews with each. They were between 3 and 4 hours long. We asked a lot of questions. The bulk of the questions were the same, but we obviously tailored some of them to the individual group to probe unique aspects of their business and backgrounds. I will say both companies are very reputable, run by people who've been in this industry for many, many years. Details on each company were in their RFP, and were also, they're available online if anyone wants to do a deep dive. But for the purposes of this meeting, I'll be brief. I just want to give a quick overview. Latitude Marinas is part of a larger company called U.S. Marina Group. They have some experience with municipal marina management, and many of their staff had come over from a company that we saw in an earlier engagement, Oasis Marina, when they dissolved their marina management business in 2024. Their marina management division is best described as kind of in a bit of transition, and their senior management is very experienced and mostly experienced in larger investment-grade marina properties, catering to bigger boats and yachts. F3 Marina is a division of Founders 3 Real Estate Company. That's where the F comes from, in case anybody's wondering. And they provide real estate services specializing in marinas and marina management, and particularly municipal marina management, as we will see. They are privately owned and not a part of any large conglomerate. After the interviews, the selection committee voted unanimously to recommend F3 Marina based on their RFP response, their interview, and multiple reference checks, which I will touch upon in a minute. As I mentioned, during the interviews, we asked a lot of questions, but more than anything, we listened. We wanted to know from the candidates where they saw themselves fitting in our community, what services they would bring, what they were capable of adding in value to the town of Beaufort and to our docks. What you see here is what you see here is a list of those community strengths that we felt like they articulated very, very well. They position themselves as the best operator of municipal marinas in the country. They also are one of, if not the largest operator. Oftentimes you don't get the biggest and the best at the same time, but we feel like they are checking the box in both. They recognize that municipal marinas are playing a long game when it comes to marinas. Let me explain that. The marina industry has been very fluid in the last 5 to 10 years. A lot of purchases. The purchases were made by companies that were seeking to buy the asset, improve its financials, and then sell it for profit. That's a completely different strategy than what we would expect for a municipal marina that is being operated for the good of the town for a long term. So they understand and they articulated to us this difference. And this is why we wanted a company that understood municipal marina management. They are very hospitality and experience focused, both for boaters and within the community. They understand that the marina itself, the docks, are part of the waterfront. They're part of the bigger thing we call our town, and they don't operate in a silo. They want everyone that they interact with to be impacted positively. And the next point is related. Marinas are a forward-facing part of our community. It's where people go. It's a destination. But they're not just at a marina. They're at a restaurant. They're at a store. So they're woven into the fabric of our community, and they want to create great experiences, not just for the boaters, but for those non-boaters as well. They have many properties they already operate where they have restaurants. They are dealing with stores, retail, and they understand the relationships among those parties, and they create connections among all of those in the community and in the within the docks. And then finally, they believe strongly in the value of hiring locally. We heard that several times from not just them, but also some of their employees, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is their comments to us. Obviously, we did our own homework, and we evaluated their overall strengths as they related to the RFP to make sure that they were compatible objectively. So some of those major strengths are they are small enough that they don't have a lot of the large corporate constraints that you might see in business, but they're large enough to leverage the services and the synergies that they have. I'll give you an example of that. Insurance is a big deal in the marina business. Insurance is expensive. For one marina to go out and get an insurance policy, it tends to be uniquely expensive. F3 has 24-ish properties in their portfolio. By pooling that insurance, they are able to attract a better provider and get a lower rate that we then pay. So there are a lot of synergies that come with that size, again, but they're not so big that we can expect things getting bogged down. They're very approachable and transparent. They've managed numerous transitions of municipal marina properties. That's important because we have a transition coming up. We don't have a lot of information. They have multiple data sets with the marinas that they have transitioned, so we can ask them to help us in generating some of the numbers that will be vital to an accurate budget for us. 40% of their properties are municipally managed. They have strong core teams in all the major disciplines that it takes to run a marina: HR, accounting, marketing, operations, all that. They're already set up. All we do is we add Beaufort to that list. They're experienced in minor and major marina redevelopment, and there's rumor that we might be doing some of that, so felt like that was a good fit. They have experience with mooring fields installation and the management, so we feel that's a good fit as well. And they articulated to us that they've had 100% contract renewals. We found that to be the case, at least with the marinas that we spoke with one exception, and that was because a third party, a dredge company, did not perform, and the marina was not accessible. Therefore, they didn't need a manager because they didn't have any boaters to manage. So that was something that is important. The other thing I'll say is that, again, on the order of size, we asked them specifically if they had an exit strategy, any current plans to sell, become a REIT, go public, anything like that. They are very happy operating with the two owners they have. They have been approached. They've rejected whatever offers they've had. There's some generational interest in the business as well, so we feel very comfortable about their company structure. So all these were very, very positive points, but as you say, sometimes you want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So we went to some of their customers, some of the properties that they manage. I'm not going to dig into this property by property because it was a very, I should say, consistent response. Number one, because much of the business with a town is public record, as you know, we could easily reach the town staff, and we found the person that F3 Marina was dealing with at this marina in this community. We spoke with them. We had a script of questions, and overall responses were extremely positive. Overall direction of the relationship was that they wanted to continue it. And so we were very, very comforted by that. I should also point out at the bottom of the list, you'll see they manage a property in Newbern, Northwest Creek Marina. A smaller group of our committee actually went to the marina to do a walkthrough, to meet with the staff, meet with the general manager, meet with the dock staff, understand how they operate, see their signage. And we also spoke to the owner. The owner echoed everything that had been said by the town managers about the property, about an extremely positive relationship. But what we were most particularly happy about was the dock staff. They were very content. They were complimentary on how they were being managed, and they noted their paid health insurance and their 401ks. So F3 Marina brings good competitive jobs to the local communities where they work. So we felt very good about that. In summary, we took some of these conversations with the marinas, the marina managers from the towns that we spoke to, and kind of put them in buckets. And here are 6 major buckets that we felt like would be beneficial for everyone to see. First of all, everyone felt F3 was a good fit for their community. They adapted. They understood if a marina needed slips to serve the local boaters, they took care of that. They understood the marketing, what made each marina unique, and made sure to promote those things. They understand their role. We heard that. They're serving the community. They're not there to buy the property. They're there to serve and serve the community where they are. I mentioned earlier they had done some many transitions. All of the operators we spoke to reported very smooth transitions from their previous management to F3 Marina. They ranged anywhere from 60 to, on the outside, about 90 to 120 days, which is what we expected, kind of an industry standard. And everything went well. Great communication, very frequent meetings up front to make sure there's alignment. As alignment and meetings become less necessary, then they go farther and farther apart until you've established a cadence that's comfortable for everyone and the information is flowing naturally. In every case, they boosted revenue and occupancy immediately. They bring their expertise from these other properties that they've been operating to the new property. They put in practices that help the property, and I would expect we would see the same thing. The staff hiring and training is a huge F3 strength. That was a quote from one of the managers we spoke with. They are big on staff and developing their staff. They have manuals, training programs. Speaking of manuals, they have a manual for hurricane preparedness, for pumping fuel, for all the things that are involved in running a marina. They already exist, so they can take those and template them and then overlay what we bring as a unique property. And we have those things already ready to go. Clean marinas, they're very familiar with that. Very strong financial reporting. Their financial packages are delivered on time. They took us through a few of their dashboards to understand what information they can present to us on a monthly basis. There is some real-time data that we'll be able to have as well. And then, of course, while we're on numbers, several of the managers we spoke to reported incentive plans that were, because it's public, they were forthright in saying that they did have some incentive plans that were based not just on top-line revenue, bringing more money to the property and to the town, but also being good stewards of that money by monitoring expenses and incentivized on the bottom line as well, so that you have you're paying attention to your expenses, but in a balance with your revenues. So we feel like that's a very good option to consider in our negotiations. Finally, we wanted more references from the people who are actually going to be using the marinas, the boaters themselves. So we went to some of the marina sites, Snag-a-Slip, the other booking platforms, Docwa, the marina sites themselves, just to see what the boaters were saying. And again, overwhelmingly positive experiences with F3 and their staff. So we felt very, very good about that. So having this information, we, based on all of this, and on behalf of the Marina Management Selection Committee and the BWAF, which chose unanimously, as Sarah said earlier, in our May 29th meeting to recommend F3, we'd like to seek the board approval for the town to begin contract negotiations for a 3 to 5 year term beginning January 1, 2026, with a transition beginning no later than October 1, 2025. I will say I'm happy to take any questions related to this process or this presentation, but I also would like to introduce Hunter Spittler, who is here. He's the Director of Operations with F3 Marina. If you have F3 specific questions, maybe we can bundle those and he can address those, and I'll be happy to address anything that's in the presentation if that's an acceptable way forward. So thank you for being here, Hunter.
Great job, Barry, and welcome back again, Hunter. We'll see if the board has any questions for either one of you. We'll start with Commissioner LoPiccolo.
Yeah, I do have a question for Hunter. In the past, there's always been concern about outside businesses being able to utilize the docks and work on boats in the community. Do you have processes in place at your marinas that allow that to happen so that local businesses would be allowed to access and work with the boating community for anything needs to be fixed or repaired or anything and so forth? Can you speak to that?
Sure. So you're speaking more of like engine services or anything like that? Yeah, so we do have a few service yards in our portfolio as well. So mixed-use marinas, wet slip, dry storage, winter storage, more so in Maryland for the winter time. Then we do have a full service yard there. We have another one in Plattsburgh, New York as well as a municipal marina in Sanford, Florida. So definitely something that we would be open to. Again, this isn't just for visiting boaters, this is for the community too. So yes, as long as it makes sense and is environmentally friendly, and we don't mess up our clean marina, then sure.
Right, but the processes are in place for outside businesses to come on and work on boats.
Oh, yeah, so vendors, third-party
yeah.
vendors, yes. So they need to provide us, a certificate of insurance. And then, typically $1 million of liability insurance in case anything were to happen. But yes, we have policies and procedures for outside vendors as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Well, I guess Commissioner Gillikin.
So I have pages and pages of notes from our visit a few weeks ago, so I don't have any questions for you, Hunter.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cooper.
None.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Oliver.
Barry, thank you and your fellow BWAF members and particularly Commissioner Spiegler and Gillikin for your time in searching for all the alternatives, if you would, solutions for our town dock opportunity. I am confident that all of you are searching for what is best for Beaufort. It's June 9th and the clock is ticking, and we're all aware of it. Likewise, as you know, and everybody here knows, we don't operate in a vacuum. And some changes have occurred in the marketplace. Some changes have started to occur in anticipation of the changes that are going on in the Beaufort dock. And I believe, Barry, that the board recognizes and supports that our docks are not a governmental function, and that there's sincere interest and capability from the private sector, such as F3, who are willing and able to provide a design-build solution on a non-recourse basis for our fuel tanks. I believe, as I've talked to our commissioners here tonight, that the fuel tank decision must be made by this board first. And I fully support F3 if they're willing and able to commit to a design build of our fuel system nominally at an expected $1 million level. And I understand this has now been broached with F3. If not, I suggest that we have to look at other alternatives. For instance, I know of 2 North Carolina financially and expert qualified firms that are willing to invest. I feel we're on the 10-yard line. And our board and staff, in my knowledge, are 100% available and to support your success, our success. But I feel that we need to get the fuel tank situation clear so that we don't get the cart before the horse. So I am in full support of your presentation, and I think this board, you will find, is the same way. But I think we need to clear up this question on the fuel tanks before we move forward. Again, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for your news, and thank you for our 2 commissioners who have led this.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegler.
I wanted to say thank you, Barry, and thank you, Hunter, for being here today. We are very excited about this recommendation from the BWIF committee. We are still working through the fuel part of the recommendations, as I talked about in the recommendations that were approved by these commissioners last fall. But we know one of the really important parts, as I said earlier, is making sure we have a marina management firm ready to take over January 1st, which means, as you put up on the screen, we need to begin that transition no later than October 1st of 2025. So we are going to take the marina management recommendation and the fuel farm installation as 2 separate items today. I do hear what Commissioner Oliver is saying, that that is a very important piece of the puzzle. We've discussed that at the BWIF level, BWIF committee as well. But because we have found that based on all of the research that we have done, the interviews, the proposal response, that F3 is the recommended option for moving forward, we're going to take that part today and then continue to work on the installation of a fuel farm that the town can take control of in the future. But we would like to make a motion today to recommend, unless there are any other questions from the commissioners at this time.
Further questions?
No other questions. I'd agree. You know, we really do need to get our fuel situation in place, and if F3 would be willing to extend that to us to help make this happen, that would really be an important part of this puzzle. I also agree, but I would also agree that we make the motion to engage with F3 and negotiations regarding management of the docks.
Okay, all right. So we've got a motion on the floor to begin negotiations with F3. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right.
No.
No, okay, so we have a no. This is a very complex situation, and being the senior member on this board, I've been dealing with it for quite so many years. And it's a very important one for the town to make, and we want to be able to make the right choices for that. And every time we seem to get a little bit closer to that goal line, we wind up seeing major opportunities come our way that we didn't see that was directly in front of us. So in other words, these things will start to evolve, and I believe they will evolve in the best interest for our citizens of Beaufort. So I want to thank the chairman, Commissioner Spiegler, and our co-chair, Commissioner Gilligan, Barry Slade, and all the members that work on not only the selection committee, but BWIF altogether. They have put together their time and their talent to make the best decisions possible and to make those recommendations and do that heavy lifting and interviewing individuals so that this board can have the best information possible to move forward. So we have some work to do. Stay tuned. Stay involved. So we're going to move on to the quasi-judicial proceeding, my absolute favorite. This involves case number 2509, Beaufort Bar, special use permit, outdoor operations, located at 410 Live Oak Street. Can I get a motion to open the floor for evidentiary hearing?
So moved.
We've got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed have the same right. So this hearing is a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it's like a court hearing. And state law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. The Board of Commissioners must base its decision based on competent, material, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi-judicial decision is a decision constrained by the standards in the Land Development Ordinance and based on the facts presented. All applicants for special use permits must consist with the Land Development Ordinance for the town of Beaufort and whether the special use is appropriate in the proposed location. If you will be speaking as a witness today, please focus on the facts and the standards, not personal preference or opinion. The Board of Commissioners shall hear relevant information from the parties withstanding as set forth in North Carolina General Statute 160D-406 and 1402. At the sole discretion of the Board of Commissioners, other witnesses who do not have standing may present competent material and substantial evidence that is not repetitive. Parties may appear in person or by designee or by attorney to present information relevant to the requirements of the ordinance. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, make legal arguments, and the Board of Commissioners, acting through the mayor, may subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence. For certain topics, the Board of Commissioners may hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. Individuals providing expert opinions must qualify as an expert and provide factual evidence upon which they base their expert opinion. Now, witnesses may be sworn in or affirmed for their testimony, and at this time, I would ask the Assistant Town Manager and Clerk to administer the oath for all the individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. We've got town staff and anyone representing the applicant.
Together. You can do it together. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. And at this time, I would ask if any board member has had any ex parte communication that would cause them to be biased or have any conflict of interest in this case. Okay, seeing that there is none, I would like to take this time to have staff to go ahead and go over the case and review that for the record.
Good afternoon, Board. Tonight, we're discussing a special use permit request to add outdoor operation to Beaufort Bar at 410 Live Oak Street. This is an existing bar located at Unit A, 410 Live Oak Street, north of No Name Pizza. This site is within the B1 zoning district and the Live Oak Street Corridor Overlay District. Abutting properties are also B1 with and without the Live Oak overlay. As stated, this is an existing, the use type is tavern/bar/pub. It was established in July 2024. They desired to add outdoor operation. They provided a site plan showing a roof area with fenced in to delineate that outdoor area. The design of that canopy does meet our Live Oak Street Corridor Overlay design requirements. And the LDO does allow for those components to extend to the property line, which does allow for a little bit of space prior to the sidewalk in that area. Our land use plan identifies this area as employment center, utility, and infrastructure. This area includes the town's public works buildings and Duke Energy Progress's substation in that location. This is an existing commercial use in an area identified for future industrial-type land uses. The land use plan shows that this area should include higher land use intensity, no neighborhood density, high impervious surfaces, and very little open spaces compared with the rest of town. Zoning districts generally have our permitted uses, which do not require board approvals, and special uses, which have additional oversight and some discretion. Bars with an outdoor operation are special uses in the B1 district. In order for a special use permit to be granted, specific required findings must be met. So this is a list of requirements against which to measure a special use permit request. I offer to submit the exhibits found in the agenda packet and my presentation into evidence and answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. Commissioner Lopicolo?
With the expansion of the property with having that outdoor patio, does that change the number of parking spaces that are required for this property?
No, because it's less than 20% of their gross floor area.
That's all. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
Could you put a map back up here? One right after that.
This is the future land use map from our land use plan.
So where is the exact location of this? When it came into Boy Scouts, I missed that part of the training.
So I've got a little red circle in the center there identifying that location.
Right, yeah, I see that. So, and that's off Live Oak.
Yes.
Is that near
It's right
No
next.
Names?
Yes, sir. Right next to No Name Pizza. There's also a gym there.
A yoga? Not yoga.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm,
okay.
that's right.
That location?
Can I ask another quick question?
Yeah, I'm finished.
What's the seating capacity, or what is the capacity of that addition? Is there a fire, number of people that are allowed to be in that location for what's drawn, or has the fire department been able to?
The fire marshal, I don't believe, has gone through the review on that yet. That'll happen with the building permit and everything.
Okay, so there will be a maximum occupancy from the fire marshal based on that addition?
I believe so.
Okay. Has anything been added, or has any discussion been made regarding the privacy fence about creating some type of noise barrier for the fence itself? Is that been included or discussed with the applicant? Or is it just that the fence is required at this point? Like noise dampening apparatus for the fence?
Right, and I believe that the fence is anticipated to kind of have some of that sound buffering. The applicant may speak to this a little bit more in his presentation, but they wish to add some vegetation around the fence line as much as they can, to kind of add to that for aesthetic as well as kind of noise attenuation as much as possible.
And to speak to residential around that area, what residential properties are adjacent or across the street to this?
I have the subject property identified in that light blue. Across the street, we see a larger white rooftop. That's a commercial property, but directly north of that are some residential properties.
415, 417?
Yes, sir.
816? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Cooper, did you want to reclaim any of your time?
No, I'll wait for the.
Okay, for the applicant, very good. And Commissioner Oliver?
Michelle, I know you've included this, so it's repetitive, but the list of people, have you had any comments from those that you notified as direct neighbors in accordance with your certificate?
I've not received any notification from those that we sent letters to. We received one email of communication, and we advised them of the special use permit quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing requirements. So they're not, if they're here tonight, then they'll be given a chance to establish standing.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions, thank you.
All right, thank you. Unless there's any further questions for Michelle, we'll move on to the applicant. Okay, thank you. And is this Mr. Thaygood? Thaygood? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I did put some slides together for the planning board and for you to kind of elaborate more on what my business is, my goals with what I want to do for outside patio. Yeah, give you a little more details. I do also want to thank Michelle and the whole town staff because there is a little bit more involved process and they helped me tremendously throughout the entire process, explaining things, providing me the documents that I needed to follow, and also helped me get through the understanding the LDO and all of its details. So I will try to keep this brief. I'll go through some of the background about myself, the bar today, some of my staff, my customers that come through, the outside special use permit that I'm looking to do, the goals of it, some precautions and efforts that I've taken knowing my surroundings, and then some summary and key takeaways. So real quickly, a little bit about me. I've had about 15 years of bar restaurant experience. I'm an engineer by day and a bartender by night. I've lived in Beaufort the majority of my life, but always worked in bars and restaurants in Morehead City. When I always ask my friends to come out and see me, I'd always get the common response of not crossing the bridge tonight. So after years of hearing that, I wanted to build my own bar with the things that I learned through the years, and I found the spot that I'm at today, which is 410 Live Oak Street, or next to Nonin Pizza, as I tell most people. So we opened July 5th last year, and as we approach our one-year anniversary, I've had a tremendous amount of positive feedback and reoccurring customers that really enjoyed the space. We've slowly expanded our operating hours to what you see here. We are a bar, tavern, pub with indoor use by consideration. That's approximately 1,200 square foot with 7 employees. So for those who haven't made it by there yet, this is some pictures of the inside. I'd like to note that we pride ourselves on keeping a very clean, neat space inside and outside. We're very respectful of our neighbors, of any trash from anything that might have left the building or from excess parking that we've caused. We always do a nightly inspection of the surrounding areas to make sure the place stays neat, clean, tidy. And here's some pics of our staff and some of the patrons from events that we've had. You'll see some pics from Halloween costume contests, our monthly shuffleboard tournament, and birthdays. We also have events with local groups and organizations such as the Crystal Coast Girls Club and the Carteret Young Professionals, to name a few. The place has provided a really good, great social space with a really at-home feeling. Some examples of the cocktails we produce. We offer specialty cocktails. We offer a wide selection of draft beers, selection of wines, kind of to accommodate to any parties that would be coming through. So everybody has something they would be interested in, as well as a large offering of non-alcoholic beverages. Again, to make sure we cater to all groups and parties. So here's a picture of roughly what it looks like today from the outside. I took this picture like the perfect timing, I believe, in the morning. If you notice the shadow that it's casting on the asphalt there, that's roughly the area of where the canopy and fence line will be that I'm looking to put for the special use permit. And as you can see to the left there, that space, it's an awkward shape, so it can't be used for parking. So there's no lines already there for parking. It's used for my own self and my staff to park here and there. But it's the way it's shaped. It's not a great spot to have parking. You can't really back out. You can only approach it from the direction you see here. So thus, I would love to turn the space into an outdoor patio. So this is a picture of this is a cutout of the site plan that you guys were provided prior. I wanted to note here the slight red box that you see is where I plan to add some beautification, a planter's box. But there is some space in the right-of-way between the sidewalk and the fence line there, roughly 2.5 feet, that I would like to also add vegetation to if I could. Planters boxes to also help, like we've mentioned before, with some sound dampening, and just to make the place look nice. And then here's another snapshot of the site plan and to show the structure for the covered area and fenced in detail. Like mentioned before, all meeting the LDO requirements. The fence detail that you'll see in the lower left corner provided. And then the canopy structure to be built that also meets the LDO requirements with the roof sloping away from the current building towards the road is in the center bottom as well. So some goals. The goals of getting the special use permit is to expand my operating square footage, to also provide a quieter seating area outside when I have live events on the inside of the building, to also allow patrons to bring their pets, because I currently don't allow pets on the inside, but this will give a space for people to bring their pets, which I think is huge in Beaufort. I can also provide an area to have family events like cookouts, no matter the weather. Doing what I did with my friends growing up in the area, from fish fries to clam bakes, oyster roasts. And I also think it'll bring more people to the area for my business and the surrounding businesses by making a more noticeable, newer, cleaner looking place as you drive by. So with Beaufort Bar being largely surrounded by commercial uses with no open spaces surrounding the area, surrounding the address, I still wanted to make efforts to support and respect my neighbors. So the fence, planter's box, and canopy will aid in noise reduction as well as keep my customers on the business property. The commercial door that I'll be adding in the side of the building will have an automatic close function to it to aid also in noise reduction from the inside. The construction of everything was uniform, meeting LDO requirements. It'll be clean, neat, treated natural wood. With some beautification added. And I've also already established, like I said, mentioned before, an outside grounds inspection with my staff, as well as educated them on the LDO and the noise ordinance for the area. So in summary, the special use permit and canopy will expand my business with a family-friendly environment. This will provide a space for patrons to bring their pets. This will provide a space for the service industry to enjoy when they get off work as well. This supports the town's bicycle and pedestrian plan and future land use. It provides entertainment for all the new surrounding developments that are being built in the area. And I think it will ultimately support other businesses in the area with more foot traffic. And the outdoor operation also aligns with the surrounding land use of restaurants and other commercial businesses. With that, I appreciate all your time. Thank you for letting me present today. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Thaggart. We'll see if anybody has any questions for you, so don't go too far. We'll start with Commissioner Piccolo.
The intent of the outdoor patio, is it mainly for your patrons to enjoy just the outdoor space, or do you plan on having outdoor music or bands or amplified music or anything of that sort outdoors?
I do not plan to have any live music outside. I am looking to expand my space for when I do have bands on the inside on typically Friday and Saturday nights, sometimes Thursday, sometimes a Sunday, but for an extra space for them to go outside and enjoy if it's too loud on the inside. Because it's only a 1,200 square foot room, things can get loud, but I don't have large bands. I have typically duos or solo acoustics, acoustic setups of that nature. But for outside, I think eventually I would want to do speakers outside, but at a low volume. Like I said, the goal is to have a quieter space because inside may be too loud.
Regarding safety of the patrons outdoor and that outdoor space, is there any barriers proposed to try to prevent any type of accident and injury from car on Live Oak? Because that's pretty close to the road there, right?
Yes, it's about 2.5 feet from the sidewalk is where my fence line would go in, and the fence itself would be concrete posts in the ground.
Okay.
And then I'm working also with the town on the driveway entrance that is right there. I think it may be on, if you can see, You can see roughly, the concrete apron area there, that's a driveway there. I'm working with the town at my cost to help pay to turn that into a guttered curbside as well. But I believe that has to go through DOT. So working with the town and whatever it takes to get that done, just to help with that exact comment was brought up during our technical review board.
In lighting, I saw you had kind of a rendition of some lighting. It would just mainly be downward lighting on the exterior of the property there.
That's correct. Underneath, I plan to have our string line landscape lighting to provide a warm, light atmosphere for a comforting, warming feeling for when it is open at night. Nothing that would be bright facing outwards toward the road or anything of that nature.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gilligan?
Thanks for your presentation. Have you had any noise complaints from the music coming from the inside of the building? Has anybody from the public?
To my knowledge, I have not. My staff have asked the question last week as well to ensure I have not had any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
Can you come back? I'm just trying to pull my stuff back up.
Okay, sure. Okay, Commissioner Oliver?
In my understanding, Michael, that you're not going to have amplified sound outside, is that what you're stating?
When you say amplified sound, I'm not going to have any live music outside provided by an outside hired.
Just amplified.
Amplified? No, I would not categorize it amplified. My vision is two speakers mounted to the wall with very low volume, just to kind of provide something for the area, but not amplified. No.
Yeah, I urge you to think about that one carefully. And I will share with you that I think your presentation is extremely professional. Thank you,
sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
I will second Commissioner Oliver. Thank you for that presentation. I thought it was very, very thorough. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time in that expert presentation. Unless anybody has any further you have a question? Okay. I'm going to come back to you.
And this may be for Ari. Are we allowed to talk about conditions that we put on previous special use permits in that area?
Yes, you can issue a special use permit with conditions, absolutely, and it would be appropriate to reference other conditions for similar uses.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So one of our conditions for a previous case that is within earshot of this location was no outside speakers, as far as I can remember. So I just want us to be thinking about consistency and concerns in the general area, although there is less residential around the proposed case tonight than there was at the other location. But I want us just to realize that that is a condition that we did put on that other request.
How close is the closest residential? Because that might make a big difference.
Across
from
Live
across the
Oak and a
street.
little bit north.
The other one that you're referencing, it was like 10 feet, right?
Yeah, but there were some other neighbors that came from the neighborhood in support of that or concerned about that.
Yes, sir.
I would like to add the speakers, if I did, again, it's not something it's a vision for now, but they will be tucked underneath of my canopy that is sloped towards the road there, which is where the other residential places are. So that sound should be relatively knocked down or trapped along with the fence, just to aid in some noise reduction. Not saying it would kill it all, but I think it would help. Very mindful of my neighbors and making sure everybody's happy and being respectful of that, because that doesn't do anything but cause problems, right?
Would you support no speakers?
I would support me meeting the noise ordinance provided by the town in my zone.
Good answer.
You get an A.
I will say, I do appreciate you thinking about your neighbors and how you can fit into the surrounding community. I do think that is very important, and we want to make sure that that continues as Cedar Street grows and develops. Or, I guess you're technically on Live Oak, but that corridor.
No, my ass in the pool.
All right, so Commissioner Cooper has a question for you.
Could you go back to, that. So that's gonna be on which side of the building?
So that'll be between the building and the sidewalk.
Building and the sidewalk?
This will probably be a better picture for you, sir.
There you go.
To the left side of the building, where you see the shadow casted by the building is roughly where the canopy and the fence will go.
Okay. And you know what, you said you've been there almost a year?
Yes, sir. July 5th will be our 1-year anniversary.
I drive by there quite a lot. I did not know until just last week, you had some of your patrons and they were at that outdoor spot there. And I said, oh, is that a bar?
Yeah, we like I said, I focus on keeping it clean, being respectful for my neighbors. You know,
Apparently, because, I mean, I did not know. So
I've lived in the area for all my life, minus some school. So I'm aware of the community, everything that all the different things that people bring up, the different problems, or I think there are solutions that can be made for things, and I try to do that.
might be because I go to bed about 9 o'clock, so I'm not that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, unless there's any further questions.
No.
All right, thank you for that great
Thank you.
presentation. Now, if anybody feels like they are a person with standing that wants to make a comment on this particular case, you're more than welcome to join us. Ari, let's go ahead and qualify you for standing. Can you elaborate on, come up to the speaker here.
My name's Brian Gillikin. I live at 415 Live Oak Street.
Okay, so you.
And
Just the geographic proximity is not sufficient. You have to allege.
I'm across the street.
Correct. You have to allege special damages to have standing. As an alternative mayor, you can always allow him to testify as a witness.
I'll go ahead and allow it.
I was just say, I mean, I've been there ever since he opened, and I hadn't had any problem. I hadn't noticed, you know, any of the noise or anything. The only thing I would say is the speakers. I would probably not be in favor of the speakers. And the 2 o'clock thing, you know, a lot of nights, you know, as the alcohol keeps going, the voices get louder over the top of the next one, over the top of the next one. So my only question was, is what height is the fence or whatever that goes around that?
Okay. Well, we'll get the applicant to go ahead and answer that. Thank you for your comment. Mr. Thaggart, thank you.
So our fence as proposed in our site plan is 42 inches high as a standard height, and to meet the LDO requirements.
It's almost as tall as I am. I'm shrinking, by the way, she said. All righty.
So, but he did come in, and which might be very reasonable, that as consumption of alcohol, people do get loud, and then you're gonna add maybe speakers, which I'm sure is not gonna really be amplifying out there in the area, but it is a legitimate concern.
And I want to, you know, I'm a business owner in Beaufort. I own probably the oldest business here in Beaufort, been here since 1919. So, I mean, I am definitely pro-business. And I want to see everybody prosper and be able to make good money. But that is the only thing I've ever noticed is once he opened the smoking area out front with the little fence, you know, that kind of, you heard that at night, you know, and not normally you didn't pay attention to it 10, 11 o'clock. But when you get into the 1 and 2 o'clock AMs, you know, you just noticed it more because most time you were going to bed. But I mean, I would think, and I would think a taller fence would be a more positive thing. I don't know if it's because I can't imagine the street and wanting to really see the cars or whatever versus maybe like a 6-foot fence versus like a 4-foot. But anyway, I mean, I'm not speaking negative about it. I'm just trying to show some of the things that could be, you know, potential problems, you know, down the road because he's run an excellent bar so far.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
And Michael, the noise ordinance does have something to do with times of the day,
Right.
as you
Changes
know.
at 12 o'clock.
And it changes later in the evening.
That's correct, yeah. I think by following the noise ordinance, I think we can be more happy.
Yeah,
I think keep everyone happy.
noise ordinance and the decibel level within that noise ordinance, which is pretty important. So you want to be able to keep that,
That's correct.
respectful during that time of evening. All righty. Any other further people who feel like they may have standing? All right, seeing that there is none. And before I close out this hearing, or is there any further questions that the board may have? Would you like to deliberate while you still have your applicant here and Michelle here, if you want to have any further questions? Okay, so can I get a motion to close this evidentiary hearing?
So move.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Okay, so based on this case, 2503, excuse me, no, 2509, I looked down wrong. You have some decisions in which you can make. You can approve the special use permit as presented. You can approve it with conditions. You can deny it, or you can table it. What is the pleasure of the board?
So my concern with this is that the special use permit obviously goes with the property, so this permit would be for this gentleman or for anyone else who would take this on down the road. So while you may have someone who's a good business owner and respectful in the community, I think we have to be mindful of the residents surrounding this property. So I do believe, as we've done in the past, noise is probably going to be the biggest concern for this property because there are residential areas adjacent or across the street from this property. So I think we need to be mindful in the community that it's not surrounded by, just a true business district where there's just businesses everywhere and there's buffers and so forth. I think we need to be cognizant that noise will probably be the biggest concern moving forward. In the past, we did place special conditions on the times at which the outdoor space could be used. That could be an option. I think looking at noise control would be another option, possibly even a 6-foot noise reducing fence or privacy fence. There are special materials that can be utilized to help reduce the amount of noise on that location as well. So I think that's an important thing to look at. Basically shutting off any type of amplified music after a certain point, maybe just having low background music as an option for certain times of the day. But, allowing it to go on till 2 in the morning and so forth. And there are, as time goes on in the night, bars can get a little bit louder and rowdier. So I think we do need to be cognizant of noise control for that outdoor patio. I am concerned about the number of people that would be out on that patio, obviously for noise as well as even for the fire marshal, making sure that there's an ingress and egress, maybe not just one access point, and maybe obviously the fire department will probably take care of that and look at that. I'm concerned of safety as being that close to the side of the road. So those are my concerns. We can all discuss how we want to go from there.
Okay. Any other concerns before we start to vote on this? Any other conditions?
I have a question from your comment, John. Do you own this facility or do you lease it? Does that mean it runs with the lease, with the owner of the property?
It runs with the property, correct?
Yeah, it runs with the land, so it's going to run with the property, including future owners.
In other words, from what hearing from the gentleman there, he's very cognizant of, the surroundings and the residents, but the next one after that might not be in the same.
And in the past, we did place like a 12-month time limit on it for reassessment, and we could have the planning board or even our board reassess at that time.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about the time limited to see if the community was accepting of the noise level. And I think I agree with that, John. And I realize that's a bit of extra burden on staff and the applicant, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we're doing right by those who have residences on.
And then he could just keep coming back for recurring approvals also.
Or if we don't find that there have been any complaints, we could go for
3 year
For
or
longer.
5 year or something.
So I'm hearing 12 months as an initial trial, or?
I mean, the burden that we're asking of him in terms of, is that because the bad taste that we got from previous applicant that we had to put these things in process? I mean, we're asking him to take or do something because of a prior ownership of a property. And we want to now put that burden on him as well. I mean, are we being justified in that?
I think we're being perfectly justified because we have had that experience and we have heard from citizens, and I think that we should make sure that we're doing our due diligence on that and acknowledging those conditions that we put on that past permit and being consistent. Even though, I feel like Mr. Thaggart would be very responsible, I have to think back to the cases that we reviewed previously. And the time-limited piece, I think, makes sense. But then if we're doing time-limited, do we still want to talk about the speakers? And any cutoffs or time, if we're going to allow him to have speakers? Is it going to be like 8 p.m. or no speakers at all? Or are we going to still discuss those things if we're going time-limited?
But we do have a noise ordinance in place, and obviously, our police department, if there's a complaint, they're gonna go out and do their job and put the meter on them and see exactly, if they're in compliance or they're out of compliance.
Yeah, I was gonna echo that. Do we need something stronger than the noise ordinance? Would that, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but would he have to turn off his speakers at a certain time to follow the noise ordinance?
In the one that we did put a time thing in
Well,
place,
but
and they had to
we-
close the doors and.
Right, but I'm saying what time would he have to turn with our current noise ordinance?
What is the current noise ordinance for that zoning and the deadline for that? Or the time frame in which they need to turn it down or off? And he's looking, so we'll give the chief a second. Have a legal question. Okay, so let's say the noise ordinance ends at 10 o'clock, according to that zone in that area, but the board puts a condition and says, I would like to see that stop at 9. It's out of the ordinary. How is that contradicting with our current ordinance? We can still put restrictions on there, all those in ordinance that's in place. How does that kind of flush out?
Well, it's really two separate things.
Okay.
So if you violate the noise ordinance, you're subject to, penalties under that ordinance. If you violate the terms of your special use permit, it can be revoked, and that's ultimately your remedy. Or if there's a time limitation on it, it'll just perhaps not be renewed. So either or. So you compartmentalize them a little bit and look at them as two separate issues.
So if the board does speak about a time limit, then the applicant would have to come back 30 days prior to that expiration to prove that, they were good stewards of the ordinance, or the restrictions that the board has put on there, and then we can make another case for them to either extend it or to give them permanent.
Correct. The renewal would be another quasi-judicial proceeding. So the applicant, the town, and any persons withstanding or other witnesses would be able to speak on whether the renewal was justified or warranted.
Okay.
Can I ask the applicant if he can come back up to the mic, please?
No, hold on. Want to ask me? If you?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so it was, Mr. Thacker, can you please come back up to the mic, please?
I think, can we ask?
You're asking him, not me. So we got to clear that up.
Yes.
In terms of the noise, or the music itself, we've heard the music in terms of your little, the band, or not the band, because you're just saying it would be either a single individual or a duo. So is that the music that would be amplified outside?
No, sir.
We're not talking about a DJ type thing?
No, sir. It would be speakers played off of what we call house music.
Okay.
Very low
So-
volume. We control it.
Yeah, so house music will end at a particular time anyway, is that correct? I mean, you're not gonna pay them to play all night, will you?
I think there'd be two separate entities. We have our own house music we play, and then there's a paid for that does end earlier, but that's all going to be inside. So to be transparent, it'll be two separate. We have our own speakers where we control the volume, what's played, and that would be played up until we close our normal operating hours if there is not a live entertainment being played already.
So this will be played off your Spotify or something of that nature?
That's correct.
Okay.
Like I said, again, we would have all control of the volume, and we could, if things started getting louder, we could make it, we could turn things down.
Okay. Has that answered your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So we could make a condition that no outdoor amplified sound equipment or speaker systems are permitted except for like low volume background music.
Well, what's the definition of a
Yeah.
low-volume
Well,
background music?
we could
That's the
we could put
problem.
a decibel reading
I
on that.
mean, we'll just say Bella Fleck and nothing else. That's pretty
Well, you could use,
unoffensive.
you could use a decibel reading.
But then wouldn't they still be following the ordinance? That's what I'm trying to ask. Are
Yeah.
we trying to make this more strict than our noise ordinance?
No, they wouldn't be following the ordinance because the ordinance would allow them to have amplified sound equipment outside, correct?
Say that again.
In the current condition, if they had the ability to have outdoor bar, they would have the ability to have amplified music outside during the regular business hours, correct?
Correct.
Correct. But if we put conditions that there was no amplified sound equipment or speaker systems outside as a condition, then that would be different.
Correct.
So now we've got some things here to discuss on the table, and let's see if we can make some headway in this. So it sounds like there's going to be some conditions placed on this, and we're going to talk about those. First and foremost, he's asking for speakers. How does the board feel about having speakers outside?
So, either we go back to what we did with the other permit, which was 8 PM, but there's not residential located as close by. So, I say either no speakers or 8 PM on speakers or amplified outside sound.
Okay.
So you're asking for the cutoff of speakers at 8 PM on the outside?
If there are speakers, what does the rest of the board feel about that?
I think that, we don't want to hurt his business too much, and if he can be responsible with the speakers, I do think we should allow that use. I'm willing to talk about, when is a good time to restrict it. That's why I was curious what the noise ordinance is for. Sorry, I
Chief, do
keep
we
coming
have that
back to
time frame
you.
for this? That might help in the discussion.
Just to clarify, is it Cedar Street mixed use?
Yes.
No.
No? That's not gone? You sure? Yeah, of course you would be sure.
B1, 7 a.m. to midnight is 75 decibels, then midnight to 7 is 60 decibels.
So are we saying we want it to be more strict than that? I guess that's my question.
I'm just thinking about the people who are in their bed, like me at 8:45, and how they might feel at 10 o'clock at night if the speakers are too loud, although the voices could be louder than the speakers.
Or the car traffic. That is a busy road.
I don't really see a need for us to have to put such restriction on him because it's not like the other applicant that had residential just right behind him and then they wasn't playing nice. I think this gentleman here, even if he closed down tomorrow and we put some restrictions, and we don't put in a restriction, whoever gets the business after that got to come in front of us again and probably do the same process.
No, he will not.
No, it runs with the land.
They was running with the land?
That's the problem.
Could we think about letting him, if you wanted to test to see how this would work out, because we're all going on suspicions here. If he was to have the outdoor speakers playing Spotify, and then putting a condition of him coming back in 18 months, let's say, just to see how it plays out. Because it does run with the land, but allows for him to run and operate the business and prove that he's a good steward, and then you'll get some better feedback as to how the neighbors are adjusting to it. And then you can have another conversation.
I think 18 months is a long time for someone to have disturbed sleep if they do experience a disruption. And they might not experience one at all, but 18 months seems like a long time to me. Is there any way we could go 12?
Okay?
Well, his
What do we say
location.
down here?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. His location in terms of, and residential is a block away.
Not
Yeah.
a full block.
It's a full block. The only residence is across,
It's across the street, but it's on the same side as, yes, on the same side as the outdoor area.
Please share something. I'm going to get Matt to share something with you. Please don't yell out in the public. Thank you very much. Matt, can you please go ahead and address that
Yes,
for me,
ma'am.
please?
Chief, you indicated that the decibel range in the zone in question is 75 dBs till midnight and 60 between midnight and 7 a.m. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
According to AI, a normal conversation falls within a decibel range of 50 to 70 dBs, while the exact level of a conversation will be based on environment and distance. I wanted to put that as a bare bones, flat. So this conversation is probably between 50 and 70 decibels right now, without the amplification if we were just talking and having a conversation. Is that what you find to be in the field?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
But add a few beers and y'all get a little excited sometimes.
She'd be getting sleepy if you had too many beers, but that's a different story. All right, so we're back to allowing this environment to exist. The speakers, Spotify playlist only. I'm just using Spotify, just it can be anybody else. A condition to see how it works out for 12 months.
So so you're saying speakers, they can use speakers conditionally for 12 months?
Yes.
And they're going to be subject to our noise ordinance, so I
Yes.
think that's a fair compromise.
Yes. Yes, sir. Please.
I was just whispering with Michelle, I think she's gonna help me double check. Brian, that was in question about the fence, he mentioned a 6-foot fence. If it meets the LDO, I'd have no problem building a 6-foot fence.
6 foot, that would be nice.
Again, as long as the, fire and police, everybody's okay with that as well.
Okay, so we've got the applicant willing to make some concessions by putting 6-foot fence
I'd
around
really
the
like
area.
to see it as a noise reduction fence. There are special materials that can be used to help dampen the sound.
More of a noise reduction fence.
yeah. No, you're asking him to take on another expense of adding material. The
Correct.
fence is not gonna,
Correct.
the fence itself is not gonna be a noise reduction. You're gonna have to add other materials onto the fence.
Not necessarily. There are ways of staggering the pickets and so forth to do that. So this is a special use permit. This is a special use, or this is a grant. This is granted by the town. This is not, the whole point of having a special use permit is in instances like this, where there are concerns about noise or impacts on the community. And I think this is just doing our due diligence to try to prevent problems from happening in the future. And I don't think that that's a huge ask, asking for that 6-foot fence and also asking for some kind of acoustic noise reduction property to that fence. I think it'll pay dividends and it'll probably prevent problems in the future for the residents that live around that area. So that's my recommendation.
I also wonder, sorry, I was cutting you off, Commissioner Cooper. Also wonder, like for diesel engines, you can paint, there's this paint that reduces diesel noise. I wonder if that same paint can be used on the inside of the fence, of the noise reducing fence, rather than having to invest in a whole lot of additional materials.
Usually it's just an interlocking system. Well, we can ask the town about it, but it's usually just an interlocking system that helps to reduce that.
That's
So
interesting. Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
Put this horse to
Yeah.
rest here.
What were the hours that we placed on one down the street for no amplified sound? Is that 8 PM?
You got it on the, hold on, Commissioner,
We
Gilligan has it.
we said.
While we're looking that up, do you have any idea about what it would cost? Well, what is a sound dampening fence look like? You're an engineer.
I work on airplanes.
Oh, wrong engineer, okay. Specify your field next time.
I'm sorry, but I'm familiar with decibels and hearing protection for different levels that we deal with at work every day, and I understand it. I think this is an easy thing to solve if it becomes an issue.
Okay.
I'm open communication with anyone around, what I would not want, but I would say is already in place, is that if there is a loudness late, that the police would come because of the call, and it would be addressed, and we would have to we would have to turn it off or turn it down to meet the requirement at that point, no matter the time of the night.
So if you were to get wireless speaker, Bluetooth speakers, you could place them on the fence so that the noise is reverberating towards the building versus they'll be on the building and going towards the fence. That will put it out into the,
I'm not an
is that
expert.
possible?
That's easy solvable. I think when I go to put them out there, I'm going to find the easiest. I'll be across the street listening and have them clamped in place until I find the best spot for them. I don't want to put them close to the wall and cause it to be even louder because it's echoing off the wall or something of that nature. But
Right.
So the other situation.
Paul, were you able to come up with the hours?
The other situation, it looks like we asked for the garage door to be closed at 8 PM.
Right.
Because there was a lot of noise coming from the inside of the building, which is not the case here.
But the 8 PM is what I was asking.
But I think the noise ordinance will take care of that 8 PM in this case because it's a different noise ordinance than Cedar Street,
Depends on what
correct?
time you go to bed. I don't.
But because it's not on Cedar Street, it's Live Oak Street, so the ordinance is different than Cedar Street, so they already have to keep the noise down regardless of what time of day it is versus the Cedar Street ordinance. Am I saying that correctly?
Everybody? If staff can help
So as Matt
validate
is
that or no?
saying, they already have to keep their noise to a conversational level.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same, okay.
it's the same what? It's not. I don't think it is. But for the mixed use on Cedar Street versus B1, I believe they're separate. I'm almost certain of it.
I can't answer that question.
We're getting some verification on that to make sure that they are different. Chief?
And while he's looking that up, we wanted the time limit on that past one to be 9 months, but I don't think that we need to do that in this case since we don't have a, controversy in front of us at the moment.
Yes, sir.
Cedar Street, mixed use, and B1 are in the same category.
They're in the same category. And many of these are going to be complaint-driven, if that was the case. So that's why you want to be able to give them a little time to make sure that they're establishing a good fit. It sounds good, want them to be able to give it a try, just to see if it's going to make an impact. I think this might be a little bit different case than the last one, some similarities, but not always the same. The last one I could hear from my house, and I was trying to figure out, and I don't live anywhere near there, so we're back to the question at hand. Speakers? Yes?
Yes.
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 No.
That one no? How many yeses?
12 months.
12 months?
12 months.
12 months.
Yeah, 12 months.
Okay.
But
Speakers with 12 months?
Speaker at 12 months.
Looking at a consensus, yes? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No speakers.
You still no?
If the 6, do we know right offhand if the LDO allows the 6 foot? I'm trying to look at Michelle's head.
And a 6-foot fence.
Yeah, I just looked through, it does allow for a 6-foot fence in that district.
Okay, I'll compromise on the speakers if we get the 6 foot fence and the 12 months.
Got a pretty good compromise on the
Yes.
table. We've got speakers, 6-foot fence, and 12 months to review this.
Yes.
Okay?
So we need a motion.
So what is the pleasure of the board? Let's take this to a vote and see where we go.
I'd like to make a motion that, for case number 25-09, Beaufort Bar SUP outdoor operation, that we allow for, 12 months, speakers, 6-foot fence, special, for the, LDO.
Try to make the fence as soundproof as possible, or sound abating as possible. Now, will we be able to see those things take place, and how soon will he need to have that fence up?
As soon as they want use of it.
As soon as you want use of it, so you'll have to know that in order to get that done, you'll have to put the fence up and follow those restrictions before you get started. Speakers, okay, and fence. Okay. All right, we've got a motion on the floor that's been clarified. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right.
Nay.
Got one no. Okay. Motion passes, and we wish you the best of luck. Now we're going to move on to public comment. There was someone who had a public comment that kind of came up, and I think she's gone. Okay. All right. Elizabeth, do you need me to back up or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I have one signed up, it's Ms. Pat Wesson.
Okay. All righty. We're going to turn on the shot clock, Pat. You got three
The
minutes
noise
to make
gets
that done.
here. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Pat Wesson, 1539 Ann Street. Most of you know me because I, for years, have dealt with seniors in the homebound in our community. That I love dearly. The people in this community have always supported anything I've asked for in the senior area. But this past year, quickly, I was involved in a project that worked with the personal care and snacks and grocery cards for the kids at our local high school. That amazed me how much that they need, how to keep them in school on a daily basis, or even to go to one class. If they didn't have, deodorant, they didn't go to that class because they might have had gym before that. So that was a program that was really eye-opening to me. At the same time, I was involved with the Backpack Blessings, which I hope all of you know, the churches here, which costs thousands of dollars. The teachers every month ask for the backpacks that go out on Saturday, and this time they were doing between 500 and 600 backpacks every month that are requested by our schools, Beaufort schools and down east. And that sort of blew my mind because for that kind of food insecurity that's happening in our community is something that we have to address. School's out, that's the end of the food coming. So here I am. I'm a risk taker. I thought, well, let me get my church, if I come up with something, maybe to support me a little bit in case it fails. But I should know better. So I started a program called Summer Kids Feed. I gathered information. I got permission from the town to use the Randall Park. I can't do 600. I wish, and maybe someday there will be. So I dedicated myself to using the Randall Johnson Park and working with the Carteret Courts, the low-income housing, the Housing Authority, Pine Street, and all that area where kids and parents can walk. Yes, the school has food on Tuesday if you have transportation, and you have signed up before school's out, you can get some lunches and breakfasts to take home. That doesn't seem to work. It didn't work with Backpack Blessings, leaving it at the school. So everything fell into place, and I just sent out, I said, okay, 10 Fridays, we will come at 11, we'll bring 20, 30 bags, and maybe we can have a few kids. Well, I sent out on my Facebook page, any volunteers to help? And in 24 hours, of course, I had 10 organizations, churches, nonprofits sign up for every one of the 10 Fridays that we will be doing from June 13th to August 15th at Randall Park. So what I'm asking for each of you, I'm inviting all of you, the mayor and the commissioners, along with the fire department and the police department, come on a Friday and join the kids. Hopefully the word gets out. The Carteret Courts management has allowed me to go door to door with a flyer. The Housing Authority is putting it out. I need to get the word out that they can come. At first, we're going to keep it a certain age, but I'm of the soft-hearted. If you come and you need food, you get a bag, because the other part of it, since I had all these days taken, I didn't need more help. Well, people decided to leave it on my porch. If rain came, I had to move everything inside. So now I look like a Piggly Wiggly Junior store. So someone donated the yard signs that will be going out this Wednesday and Thursday. The sign permit people have been wonderful. They'll watch them, and I'll pick them up on Friday. And somebody donated a trailer, thank goodness, to get all this out of my living room. So it's all done. So I'm inviting you, and the only thing I ask you, come on over on a Friday, but don't come without not bringing anything. You can bring stickers, coloring books. We have the Carteret Food and Health Network are bringing the food, but plus they're bringing their coloring books about sweet potatoes. I mean, everybody has something, and I think that's what we have to get. That park needs to be used in a positive way, and to get away from anything else, and to know that we understand that the food concerns for us in our community, whether you're a senior, homebound, or a kid, still exists every day. Thank you.
Now, thank you for what you're doing for the community, especially during the summertime. And security with our food and our children are at an even higher rate. And Pat, as always, you've always been taking care of us in our community. I want to thank you. And we take you up on that invitation to be there on a Friday at 11 between June the 13th and August the 15th. And don't come empty-handed. That's the okay. We've got our marching orders. Anybody else signed up for public comment? Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to new business, where the proposed fiscal year 2026 fee schedule. And we got our finance director, Christy Wood, to talk about that.
Good afternoon, or evening, I guess, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. Tonight, we have the proposed FY26 fee schedule for you. As displayed on the screen, I'll just run through the changes that are listed for a reminder and also for the public's notice. Our staff has come up with these. They've assessed surrounding areas and have recommended these changes. So in the planning department for the residential, they've added an expired permit fee. They've added a roof and repair replacement fee, and they've added a new driveway permit fee. They've requested to change the demolition fee from just a flat $100 to $100 per structure, and also to change the fees associated with solar panels, as well as a change, if there's a change in the contractor, they've requested that be from $75 to $100. The commercial changes are very similar to those for the residential requested changes. I'm looking quickly. There's a small difference in the solar panels, but most of those and the roof repair are the same. In the utility department, there's a requested for the change in meter only install from $400 to $500, and that's based on the actual cost of the meters have increased. And then your solid waste fee changes are based on the CPI increases that are passed through from GFL. It was a 2.8% increase this year. And I'll be happy to try to answer any questions or invite other departments if I can't answer them.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Commissioner Piccolo, any questions?
No question.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillikin?
I probably asked the same question last year, but why is demolition $100 to $100 for residential, under residential?
So it currently is $100, a flat $100. If you have more than one structure, it's $100 per structure.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
None.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
No questions.
Thank you. And Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So unless there's any further questions, I guess the board has reviewed the fee schedule and we need a motion to approve
I
and
move
adopt.
approval as recommended by staff.
All right, we got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you very much. For those who are following the agenda, we did move number 2 up, so we're going to go to number 3, case number 2503, 400 Airport Road Hangar 72, site plan. We've got our town planner.
Yes,
Kyle
ma'am.
Garner.
I've been hiding in the back. I know
I
that's
saw you
unusual for you
creeping up.
folks not seeing me on the front row this evening. Thank you, Mayor. We do have the item before you this evening. It's case number 25-03. And yes, it is an airplane hangar site plan. And before we get started, this is something that you typically do not have in front of you, and you're wondering why. Airplane hangars or any site plan that has a structure of less than 5,000 square feet does not end up before the board. It's usually in part of a packet from the manager and so forth. But for this particular hangar, it's 7,500. So because of the square footage is why we are bringing this to you tonight. So hopefully that may answer some questions as to why this is unusual before you.
Okay.
So the request, as I mentioned, it's an 85 square foot hangar. I said 75. And it's on lot number 72 of the Michael J. Smith Airport. The applicant is Mr. Jeff McCann, who is here this evening. And the location is 400 Airport Road. The existing land use is an airport and a hangar facility. I hate to be obvious, but I think that's one I can say is pretty obvious. We have 2 maps to describe the location. The area that is hatched to your right is the site location map, which shows all the property that the airport has. Then the aerial photo that we have included actually has where the hangar location would be, the square box that's outlined, and that is right in line with what goes with the next slide, which is the master plan that the airport authority supplied us, and this is from their engineer, Talbot and Bright, which goes through and actually outlines everywhere they plan to have a hangar and any other improvements. And you will see to the southeast portion of the property, you see a circle there, and again, that outlines where the hangar would be located, as well as they were kind enough to actually supply us with a stormwater plan just for that hangar. And again, that came from the airport authority and their engineers, Talbot and Bright. So what is being asked of the board this evening is, of course, discussion on the site plan request and also a decision. In case you're wondering, you did not see any landscaping around the hangar or anything like that. Debris has a tendency to cause problems for mechanical parts and jet engines. So any landscaping and so forth would be on the perimeter and of the airport itself. So those type of things are not included on this particular project. So with that, Mayor, I'll be glad to entertain questions.
Okay. We'll have questions for Kyle, and then we'll bring Mr. McCann up, and you want to ask questions of him later. So we'll start with Commissioner Piccolo.
Kyle, you mentioned that the hangar itself is 8,500 square feet, which is larger than the normal cutoff, I guess, that brings it in front of the board. Does that then change any specific infrastructure or mechanical infrastructure within that hangar, fire suppression, anything like that, that then it comes before the town and has to meet certain regs?
That's a good question. Our new fire marshal, that's one of the reasons we've held out on this is with the new fire marshal, we wanted to make sure what that square footage would be for some of their systems, and he has supplied us with information. It's 12,500, so we are under that threshold. However, that being said, when the building plans are submitted, in addition to our department reviewing them, the fire marshal will also be reviewing those to see if any sprinklers or anything like that are included, and the applicant, Mr. McKean, can also speak to that.
Okay. And so basically, you're just asking us to approve this based on a checklist of items that the applicant has met regarding building code, fire suppression, runoff, and so forth. There's
No,
really
sir,
not-
I am not asking that. I'm asking strictly for a site plan when, if it passes this stage, then they would be required to submit their engineered building plans for that second part, which would include the review from our staff as well as the fire department on the construction.
And the construction, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillikin?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
None.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
Kyle, I should know this, but is there a height limit on the buildings at the airport?
Yes, sir, there is.
And what is it?
It's a standard of where we are. It's 40 feet in that particular area.
And this building is under?
Certainly does meet that, yes, sir.
And when you see the specs and so on, again, that'll double check the wind load issue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are in a hurricane wind load, high velocity area. We'll just leave it at that. Yes, sir.
And for clarity, because I'm familiar with this is a private investment by an individual on a ground lease from the airport that at the end of that lease, I believe, vests to the airport.
That you will need to ask the applicant. I am not as versed in that as you are, sir.
Good. I presume any cost of any extensions of services would be at the applicant's expense?
Yes, sir.
And is there a possibility that there'll be a sewer allocation request with this for sewer, or do we know?
Possibly, but with the low flow, low rate for one bathroom, it would probably be handled in-house.
Right. Thank you.
Yes,
That's all I
sir.
have for Kyle.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Well, unless there's any further questions for Kyle, we'll hear from the applicant next. Thank you, Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McCann?
How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
I'll take some questions,
All righty.
if I can answer them, I hope.
We're going to go right down the line,
Yes,
see how
ma'am.
this has been rolling, right? Commissioner LaPiccolo?
I have no question.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Gillikin?
Can you help my ankle?
Maybe later.
Okay.
No questions.
Sure.
Commissioner Cooper?
Well, the one that Commissioner Oliver thing is the lease agreement there. How long is it with the
25 years.
25 years?
Yes, sir.
And then it reverts to the airport?
Well, I would like to leave it to my son if he'd come up and take it, but, you know, if that's what happens, it happens. Someone's going to lease it.
Yeah, well, the building would be there, but your lease agreement would be for 25 years. And after 25 years, it would revert to the airport authority.
Yes, sir. But then they would in turn lease it to someone else, I hope. I mean, I would, if I was on the business end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No.
All right, Commissioner Oliver?
I agree with you.
Thank you, sir.
And again, I thank you for investing in the community.
Yes, sir.
And being here. This is how this works, and just for the board here, because I am the correspondent with the airport charges a land lease. All of the insurance, all the maintenance is on the owner. It's private investment. It's a taxable asset to us as the town, as are the aircraft that are involved at the airport. That's a substantial number of income dollars for us. And the one thing that I also want to mention, Mr. McCann's got a very good location because it is also not in the future non-intensification zone. When you look at that map up there, there are some buildings that are. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Cooper, I want to let you know that my family had a hangar there since the 60s, and it was eminent domain by the state to put the road in probably 15 years ago. And So I've always wanted to have a hangar there. I mean, it's been a part of my life. My dad had a landing strip in Harkers Island, and we used to fly from there to Beaufort to go to St. Egbert's. And it's just something I've always wanted, and I have an opportunity to do it, so I'd like to fulfill it.
Yeah. I understand you're wanting, you know, for possibly your son too, but I worked in an airport, and I know that after that lease is up, that 25-year lease, it reverts, you know, to the airport authority.
Yes, sir.
I know you would like for your son to have it. I would like probably for your son to have it as well.
I hope I make it 25 years.
And that'll be something I imagine that as time come along.
Yes, sir.
You have to, you know, negotiate with the airport authority on that.
Yes, sir.
And good luck for that. But I echo what Bucket said in terms of wanting to invest in the town of Beaufort and wanting to.
Well, it's a great county. It's the best in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's something to build a building and knowing that after so many years, you no longer own it. It owns, the authority has it.
Absolutely.
That takes a lot.
Yes,
And I
sir.
appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, thank you. Unless there's any further questions for Mr. McCann. Thank you, kind sir. Don't look for any questions. We're good.
No.
I think
No,
we're
thank
good.
you for coming.
I was waiting to look for
Yeah.
him and her.
I think we're good so far, but
Thank
they'll
you,
call you
guys.
back up. I will call you back up unless they have any further questions.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
we're good for
And
right
I
now.
want to thank Kyle. Kyle has helped me tremendously on this project, and I really appreciate you.
Okay.
And thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. All right, so when it comes to case number 2503 at 400 Airport Road, so we're looking at approving the site plan or denying the site plan. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion that we approve case number 25-03, 400 Airport Road, Hangar 72 for approval.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to case number 2507. This is the site plan for the Boys and Girls Club, woo-hoo, at 497 Camping Road. This is exciting.
Good evening, everyone. As stated, we've got a site plan review for a new Boys and Girls Club facility. Recently addressed 497 Campin Road is an undeveloped site behind Beaufort Middle School, just before it turns into Professional Park Drive. The zoning district of the site is R20, which allows by right government/nonprofit owned/operated facilities and services. So that use type is permitted without a special use in that district. Abutting zoning districts are vacant B1, vacant TCA, and Beaufort Middle, Beaufort Elementary, that's all on R20. I've got the site plan on the PowerPoint as well as the landscaping plan, and we can come back and look at these as we need to. Just want to run through a couple of the site features. We've got the 21,400 square foot. It's a single-story building. There's a lot of aspects to this building. We can see the floor plan through that site plan. We've got outdoor basketball court, playground, multi-surface area, garden planters, field area for outdoor soccer. We've got some sidewalks that connect and extend existing sidewalks on the west side of Campin Road. We've got sidewalks that extend all the way on the east side of Campin Road, so they're actually extending our sidewalk facilities on Campin, and then also connecting those sidewalks to the front door of the facility. We've got some adjustment of speed bumps in that area and creation of a new raised crosswalk that's relocated from the current location. We've got that landscaping plan that includes a lot of our native landscaping. Plenty of parking spaces, 80 spaces. We've got dumpsters with the screening to match the building, and then all of their erosion control and sedimentation, and grading and stormwater is going to be pursuant to state permits. So I wanted to come back to this site plan and kind of identify that. The planning board reviewed this project They unanimously recommended approval of the project, but did request some additional consideration of 2 items. They requested that pedestrian access be added to go from the sidewalks to the front door, which, as you can see, was added. And then they wanted a second look at that sidewalk to new crosswalk location. But that crosswalk location was a result of discussion between fire, police, public works during the technical review committee meeting. So I just kind of wanted to draw your attention to that, where we've got the current crosswalk where Eastport Apartments connects to Campen Road. They're going to be having a driveway access directly across from that, and move that crosswalk access farther south, and have a raised crosswalk like what we've got down on Front Street, and take out the speed bumps in those areas. So those were kind of requested by town, and that was a discussion that they had at technical review. So that is not a change that's reflected as a result of planning board's recommendation, just because that was a town request and a town recommendation on location. The applicant is here tonight, both from Boys and Girls Club and the architecture firm, so they can answer some of the technical questions about the site plan. But if there are any questions for staff at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Commissioner Piccolo, any questions?
Yeah, so just to be clear, I listened to the planning board discussion. I think they were spot on about being careful of moving that walkway across the parking lot to the sidewalk. So is this reflecting the recommendations from the planning board? Does this fully reflect each of the recommendations that were made from the planning board to modify that design?
They do reflect the request to show pedestrian access within the facility, so we can see north of that driveway cut where there's a crosswalk across the parking lot. So that's showing the access from the sidewalk facility across the parking lot to get you to the front door, rather than somebody just meandering through parking spaces to get to the front door. They did not adjust on the crosswalk because we looked at it just as staff and said, technical review advised them on this location. That's why they put it there. So we wanted to kind of pass that to the commissioners for discussion. If that needs to be adjusted, the engineer did seem amenable. If we need to adjust it, have that further discussion, then we can look at that.
So I guess looking at that map, the Eastport Apartments, are they directly across the street from that? Is that
Yes,
right?
the driveways line up.
And the access, if you had to kind of draw or show on that map there, where's the access for the driveway or the entry on that map? Is there a way you could kind of point to that? I'm just concerned if the students coming out or the children coming out, crossing there and then having to go down south to then cross over that crosswalk and then go back up again.
Right.
Kids are not going to do that. They're just going to run across the street there. So
Yeah.
I think putting in the speed hump there and also putting in the crosswalk would make the most sense if it lines up better with the sidewalk across the street. Is there currently a sidewalk on that side of the road right now, or there is no sidewalk right there, correct? On the side of the road of the Boys and Girls Club, the proposed Boys and Girls Club.
Right. It stops at about where their driveway cut would be, where the current crosswalk is.
Okay.
And the police chief and fire chief are here tonight if we need to have them speak in. I know that they were present, I think, for the technical review committee meeting. And they wanted to pull some of that out of the curve. They wanted to put it further out of where that curve is from Professional Park, is some of the thought process for it.
Okay. And then there is a sidewalk that's proposed on the side of the Boys and Girls Club, correct? That's this sidewalk that kind of ends right at the property line by the pedestrian easement, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And why wasn't that extended further north to the end of the property?
That is the property line. It goes straight up. The TCA property just above it kind of catches that pie shape, but we do anticipate development of that property within the next couple of years.
So we will be able to connect both of the sidewalks at that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern would be just the crossing of the students there. I think the design is fantastic. I really like how they incorporated a loading area for students to come in and out for buses. The field in the background, you know, the access points and so forth, I think are great. But like I said, I think having kids come off that's going to be where I think the majority of students or young people are going to cut across, and I'd just be really concerned about that, so I'd like to hear more about that.
Okay.
Well, let's go continue with Michelle. Are you,
Yeah.
okay, are you done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gilligan.
Hi, Michelle. Who is responsible for constructing and paying for the crosswalk, the speed hump?
I'm not sure. I think that is the applicant's responsibility, but I think that's kind of a partnership with the town.
Okay. I've noticed, I really like the raised speed humps, but some of the ones around town, I don't think people like see them right before they get to them, and they end up like flying over them. And I'm wondering, because this is such a precarious location for safety for our young folks, if there could be some kind of painted triangle or something that indicates that you're getting ready to go up onto something, just as an extra layer of protection for the children. Not much cost associated with that, but I would request that we do all we can to slow people down before the speed hump, because I do see cars fly across the ones in front of the Maritime Museum and the one near Randolph Johnson Park.
All right, Commissioner Cooper.
Did I see something about removing some of this couple of speed bumps in the request?
Yes, and that's as at the request of town staff. I think.
Would that be the two that is presently in place now? That is adjacent with the apartment complex?
I believe so.
So where are the replacement speed bumps gonna go?
I believe that the request was to remove the speed bumps.
Not have any at all?
There was reduced it to one, that would make three right there very closely. And those two speed bumps that are there, that's why we're requesting that one. I mean, you give up a lot of time when you're trying to transition three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our request to bring it down to one speed table or speed hump. Is that correct, Paul? Yes.
And that one would be
The one that crosses right there matches up with Eastmore.
with East Point? Okay, that's good, 'cause I think something needs to be there. You got
Yes.
Boys and Girls Club, and then you got the apartment complex as well.
And I'll follow Commissioner Gilligan, additional striping or something put in there.
Yes, sir.
That helps with that notification of what's going on.
Right, definitely. Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
I have no questions. Delighted to see it happening.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
I agree. This is a great project. Thanks, Michelle. I will just echo the concerns by Commissioner LaPiccola about the sidewalks and making sure that they're as safe as possible, and that, you know, we're working to connect all the sidewalks. Just to be, I think I'm going to ask this question. So the kids that go to Beaufort Elementary School and Beaufort Middle School will be able to walk after school to the Boys and Girls Club. Is that correct? Okay, and this is I know this might be a silly question, but I was wondering, we're not going to put them in buses and take them around the corner, right?
I'm fairly certain, yes.
Okay, and so it is important that we get this correct, because there's going to be a lot of kids walking from next door. So, okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, one last question. On Lennoxville, as you cross over Lennoxville by Carteret Avenue, there is a crosswalk there, and there's even I believe a button you can press to kind of signal ongoing traffic to slow down or stop. Has that been discussed as another option or entity to be added at that location?
It was not discussed, but that's always something that we can consider. That's a DOT street, so I think that was their project, and that's something
Gotcha.
that they routinely put in, that actuated signal. But that's something that we could emulate, we could discuss further.
Okay, I think that probably should be looked at as this progresses. So,
Probably have to look at what that would cost and make sure NCDOT is aware of that. But I want to get back to the question of kids walking and busing. Is that something that the school system has said that would be taking place? Although we may want them to walk, I don't think we have the authority to say that per se. But has the school system in itself stated how they were going to make sure the kids get to where the Boys and Girls Club is?
The applicant could speak to that.
Okay, I'll ask that question later. All right, any further questions for Michelle? All righty, and what are the names of the applicant? I didn't catch that. I knew you threw it, but I didn't catch it.
We've got Mark from the Boys and Girls Club and Tim from the architecture firm.
Oh, so we have Mr. Holtzman. Oh, there you go. I can see you now. All right, Mr. Holtzman, you and your representative want to come up, and we've got some questions for you.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Mark Holtzman. I'm the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of the Coastal Plain.
Okay.
And with me is Tim Oakley from Oakley Collier. He's our chief architect on the project.
All right, welcome, Mr. Buckley. We'll have some questions for you. We're going to start with Commissioner LaPiccolo.
I guess crosswalk questions. So when looking at this, and you looked at the property adjacent across the street when you did, or did you look at the property across the street when you designed this to kind of look to see where maybe crosswalks would come into play?
We did look at that, but it was, as Michelle indicated, during the TRC meeting with the fire and police and the discussion of speed humps and locations, it was determined that the new raised crosswalk was better served in the position that they had located it.
And what was the reasoning for that?
To get distance, to gain distance from the curve, vehicles coming around the
From the
curve.
curve, okay.
There was a concern that children crossing the street closer to the curve may not have enough time for the oncoming traffic to yield and stop.
Line of sight.
So,
It's line of sight. is the
Yes, sir.
issue.
Line of sight.
okay, but we're removing that existing speed hump that's closer to the curb, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was a recommendation.
That was a recommendation.
Okay. Well, we have experts in place, so I
That's
guess
right.
we can always go back and add speed humps if need be, so
They always can be added.
they can always be added. Thank you.
Commissioner Gilligan?
Thanks for being here tonight. I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
The only one thing, just that, waiting on a new building, and thanks for wanting to construct a new Boys and Girls Club here in the town of Beaufort. We really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
No questions. Thank you for being so patient tonight.
Yes, thank you. And Commissioner Spiegel?
Yes, thank you so much for being here. We're very excited about this. So are you able to answer, do you know, will the kids be bused, or are they going to walk from the schools?
I don't have a definitive answer yet. I can probably anticipate that the younger ones are going to be bussed around the corner, but perhaps some of the middle schoolers will be able to be released to walk. It really will fall within the parameters that the school board has for allowing children to walk home. If they're on a walk-home schedule, they could walk to the club.
Right.
But perhaps some of the smaller ones will be bussed around the corner to us. On our site that we have in Moorhead, we're actually in the backyard, and those kids do actually just walk through the backyard, but they're not trying to, make their way around the buildings and all the way to the club. So I think it'll depend on the age of the kid.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah, well, I would think that, that once again, though, we're talking about the school system. They'll never do nothing, just like the government not gonna do things properly. But I would assume that probably the staffing of the Boys and Girls Club would meet them in the building and then escort them over, I would think. You think?
They call that a walking school bus. You've seen it on field trips sometimes when they get them all together. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility as well. We do bus from some of our locations and others drop off. This one will be interesting depending on the pattern of, as it stands now, they would have to go all the way around that sidewalk. So that is an option that we can work out with the school if they need us to come pick up those smaller ones. We can either bus them or walk them around.
Are there current plans for any fencing around the property, or is it just basically just an open?
We are
canvas?
going to fence the whole property.
The whole property?
Yes.
Security doors?
Yes.
Okay.
Security doors, yeah. This will be a bit higher quality or higher security than we've had. It's our chance to build it in from the beginning. So very much like a secure vestibule where you come in from a public school. And then we are going to fence the campus just for the really protection of the kids, especially the smaller ones. You don't want them just wandering off. It's easier to manage. And then just overall safety.
I will second that for sure. A fence is, I have a 2-year-old, so yes, I definitely support that.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're so excited to see this take place. It's going to happen in my lifetime, which is great.
Yeah.
And my husband, we have 3 kids, and they were the original Boys and Girl Club members. And I remember them leaving Beaufort Elementary and the school bus line, walking all the way down when they moved it out of the school cafeteria. But the programming that you're going to be able to provide our students at all age levels up until the teens, I'm super excited about that. So you've got a lot to offer. So unless there's any questions for Mark or Tim, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out here.
And we do plan to serve about 200 kids every day here at this location, probably serving closer to 400 families in total. But it'll be built for at least 200 a day. So more than doubling what we're serving now in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't cover that. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
It's been a
Thank
great
you.
process, and we're looking forward to it. Next summer, we're going to have you out for a ribbon cutting.
We'll be right there.
Good.
Can't wait. All righty. Allow the board to go ahead and deliberate on case number 2507, the site plan for the Boys and Girls Club at 497 Campen. You'll have an option to approve the site plan, approve it with conditions, deny, or take any recommendations. What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that case number 25-07, site plan for the Boys and Girls Club, be as the town staff has written or planned.
Okay, got a motion to approve the site plan. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. All right, so now you've gone through that, they're going to need some water and sewer. So let's go on to wastewater allocation request for 497 Campen Road, and we have Town Engineer Sam Bell for that one.
Well, good evening again, Board. This wastewater allocation also piggybacks off the previous project. What's being presented here is 2,000 gallons per day, which would normally fall under the limit for board approval. However, being so close to our 80% limit, I do plan on bringing anything commercial or just bigger, larger in nature to the board for approval. And as you know, this particular lot is within town limits and within the town service area, which puts it in a priority 1 category. 2,000 gallons per day represents roughly 0.1% of our total capacity. And we will be able to serve it with some existing gravity lines in the area. Town won't have to build any additional lines to serve it. So recommendation is to consider the allocation of 2,000 gallons per day for the proposed Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Commissioner LaPiccolo, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper?
None, and thanks, Sam.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Oliver?
No questions.
Thank you. And Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions. Thanks, Sam.
All right, that was an easy one, right?
Thank
Sam?
you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to deliberate on the wastewater allocation for request for 497 Campen.
I move approved as recommended.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve the allocation as presented by staff. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you very much.
I have a point of clarification on wastewater, if that's permissible.
Sure.
So I appreciate it. Commissioner Oliver asked us a question during the approval for the jail site or the emergency service complex for Carteret County, and I conferred with our engineer. The request was for 24,000 gallons, which in the math is 23,800 gallons per day. And the question was there credit given for the current 116 beds? And the answer to that question is no, and wanted to be clear that the 24,000 gallons was approved and stamped by the professional engineer in the application for wastewater. So in reality, if you calculate the current seated 116 beds and you were to deduct that, that would be approximately 9,000 gallons, which that means that there is a buffer included in the allocation request at 24,000 gallons. And so we want to be clear that if there's the staff issue of transference from the current existing site within the town's corridor to the Exert new site, there is a buffer of at least 9,000 gallons in that calculation. So I wanted to clarify that for you all. Do you have any questions on that? And I appreciate, I wasn't trying to correct Sam or put him on the spot, so my professional courtesies and apologies to my colleague, but we wanted to validate that for you this evening. So that 9,000 gallons is not in Mr. Cullifer's requested allocation or nor a deduction. So he based it based on 300 beds, so that's the clarification.
Okay.
So the sewer
So
number
we made
stays
the
the
motion
same.
that you would check the math, you check the math, and you can get it correct.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you.
So it will not be 24,000.
The request is for 24,000, which allows for the allocation, did not deduct for 9,000 gallons of the existing 116 beds, but that is that 1.6% that was proposed and asked for by the engineer. So it's up to 24,000 gallons, which should accommodate any of the additional offices that would be relocated to that current site. The reason being is there could be a potential reuse at the existing site, and so you don't want to give credit of one or the other, even though we saw that in the preliminary math. That was the rationale that the supplying engineer provided to the town engineer. Is that accurate, Mr. Bell? Yes, sir. Okay, just wanted to make sure I didn't speak out of turn. So there was no credit of the 9,000, which originally we thought was going to be a provisional opportunity.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't want to cause anybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pull your mic back down. It's time for the manager's report.
Based on the sensitivity to all those involved, I have nothing further to share. If there's any questions, Mayor, from you or the council members, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay, any questions for Matt? Commissioner LaPiccolo?
Yes. We did, okay.
Okay.
No question.
All right, Commissioner Gilligan?
No questions.
Commissioner Cooper?
None.
Commissioner Oliver? And Commissioner Spiegler?
No questions. Thanks, Matt, for all of your work the past few weeks.
Yes. All righty, now we're going to go on to Mayor and Commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner LaPiccolo.
I guess I'd like to say thank you to the town staff and to Matt for, and even the board for the hours that were put in working on the town budget. This wasn't an easy process. Matt coming in the middle of everything after the interim, after losing Charlie as the interim, and basically carrying out what the board had asked of him, was to create a revenue-neutral budget. And I don't think it was easy coming into all that and kind of learning all the ins and outs of the town, but I appreciate your efforts and the time that the town staff spent on this painstakingly going through each line over and over and over again to find cost savings and in making that happen. So thank you all. I want to say, we're now moving into the summer here, into the spring and summer season here, and as I kind of have been around town, I've been concerned with seeing golf cart users on our streets. Sometimes I'll see underage users, and sometimes I'll see people driving on Highway 70 by, McDonald's and so forth. And, I don't know if we have enough education out there for these drivers to understand that, you need to be a licensed driver in our community, to please pay attention to the normal safety standards that all vehicles are using in our town. But I definitely have a safety concern, so please, if you're listening, make a point, just making a point to try to be safe with those vehicles. Accidents do happen, people do get hurt, so just keep that in mind if you can. But that's all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan.
We've been here since 5, so I'm going to hold any comments.
Okay. Commissioner Cooper?
Kudos to that one.
Okay. Commissioner Oliver?
Ditto.
Ditto? Okay. Commissioner Spiegler?
Yes, I'll just say thanks to everybody for participating, both in person and online. I think we have some Duke students here. Is that, no, okay, never mind. Just thank you, everybody, for participating. We very much appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you for all who have attended, and those that are online, if you are there. I just want to thank you for being here. I would like to say thank you to the staff for going that extra mile and preparing a budget. It's always a very tough time for them, and I want to thank the commissioners for doing their homework so that we can put a budget that's going to suit Beaufort's needs as well as take care of our citizens. I wanted to say June 1st, our hurricane season, and we've got an excellent staff between Chief Ray and Rachel Johnson way back there. They've always been able to get the word out on how we can be best prepared, so start now, get your AA batteries now, get everything now, get your water, well, I won't say get your water now, but you want to be as prepared as possible because we just don't know what's going to come our way. Also would like to congratulate all those who have graduated. We've got our elementary school and our middle school students and our high school students who have graduated this year. Congratulations to all of those. I want to give a shout out to my granddaughter Peyton Harker, who's going to be the 3rd generation of Mariners. Whoop, whoop, go Mariners. So that's an exciting thing, and you may want to shout out Rose as well.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of Mariners that are coming on board, and that's just keeping that generation alive and bringing our students great education right here in Beaufort. Because it is hurricane season, the town of Beaufort has been given a grant by the Duke Energy Foundation, and we'll be receiving that check this week, and it's going to be going to help continue that education so that we can become resilient. It's called the Heroes Grant, and we want to thank Duke Energy for allowing our community to receive that. I want to thank the Beaufort Waterfront and Operations and Finance Committee. You've always blown away my expectations. I know you've had a tight deadline, and I've put the challenges to you, and you have risen above those. Commissioner Spiegler, Commissioner Gilligan, I want to thank you. And I see some new faces here, and I'm just going to take the leap of faith. Where are you guys from?
We're here with a program that's hosted out of East Carolina University. We're looking to understand how communities prepare for and recover from hurricanes.
Well, see how timely is that, see?
Maybe we should extend the meeting and talk about that soon.
Well, welcome to Beaufort. We do an excellent job in hurricane preparedness and education and getting that word out. Like I said, we're starting first. I had no idea that you were here. So that was really a great segue there. But yeah, we take that very, very seriously. And thank you for being here. My husband's an ECU graduate, so go Pirates, R. And I always have to tell my favorite pirate joke. What's the pirate's favorite letter? R. Thank you very much. Somebody actually gets it. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.